Okay. All right, let me go ahead and get the live going in 3, 2, 1. What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal, depending on who you ask. But I'm going to go ahead and mirror the video. Okay, so this is going to be somewhat of a different live. We always are talking, generally we're talking about politics, but sometimes the lives transcend politics and they get involved with actual stories that are in the news. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about a story that is in the news. And this is the video footage. I should have had his name ready for you, but the video footage of a African-American suspect that was, he was stopped during a moving or traffic violation by the police down there in Jacksonville, and the arrest went violent. Now, it started out with him allegedly being pulled over, simply not having his headlights on during a mild amount of precipitation. So it was kind of raining, not pouring down or anything like that, but they stopped him because he didn't have his headlights on while it was raining outside. I'm going to tell you right off the bat, and I'm going to try to judge these officers fairly if I can. I'm not going to just jump to the gun. We're going to go by the video, but I'll just tell you right off the bat. A cop pulling you, cops pulling you over when it's drizzling outside. I don't want to say it's a bullshit stop because it is a legitimate stop. You do have to have your headlights on when it's raining outside. But generally, if you're driving and you don't have your headlights on and it's starting to rain a little bit in the daytime, you might get them to flash their lights at you. They might honk their horn. Maybe they may even get on the PA. But to actually stop you, pull you over, and actually get out of the car themselves in the rain and walk up to you and start running, there usually is more to it than that. I'm just going to say that. Most cops are not going to go through all of that for something as simple as not having your headlights on in the rain. That usually is when you're dealing with fishing expeditions, profiling, and things like that. You're driving, it's slightly raining. I'm not talking about it's pouring down. I'm not talking about where it's dark outside. I'm talking about in the daytime. And you don't have your headlights on? I just don't see them. Most cops are not going to stop you and have to get out in the rain and shit and deal with you for something so simple as, could you please turn your headlights on? I strongly believe there's more to it there than that. Whereas you might see the driver and think there's probably more shit on him if we stop him. That's where I see more of that than them simply, because what's going to happen? They're going to likely give you a warning for that. I mean, do they really hand out tickets of any significance for something so mild? So we're going to talk about that. I do want to also cover the actual video. We do have some video footage here. We're going to talk about that features what exactly happened. And we're going to talk about whether you think was it indeed a case of brutality, or did the suspect receive what he was warranted? Now, let me make a couple things clear here. And I know I'm going to get some flack, probably from my left flank. I'm going to have a lot of my liberals refer to me as, I don't know, everything from kissing ass to selling out to fluffy when I say this. But damn it, this is a free speech program. And just like I always make it clear, you're entitled to free speech with zero censorship here. Damn it, so am I. So I'm going to give you my humble advice on this. Certainly being, and I think this applies even more to minorities and African Americans, not complying with police is not a smart idea. Not complying with police is not a smart idea. I'm going to say that again. Even if you think the stop is questionable, whether you think it's profiling or you think it's outright bullshit, not complying with police on the side of the road is not a smart thing to do. It is not advisable. Simply put, you're never going to win an argument with law enforcement on the side of the road. And that is what I'm bringing this up because that's what happens in this case. Is that the driver is trying to argue his case with the police on the side of the road. Have you ever seen anybody argue with the police on the? It's almost like You know, it's almost like watching baseball when the person don't like the call from the umpire. Before the era of what do you call it? When you can rewind. I'm having a Biden moment. You know, when you can actually watch the you can watch the video again, instant replay. Damn, why was it so hard to come up with that? But anyway, it's like watching sports before the era of instant replay. Have you ever seen an umpire or a referee reverse a call? Doesn't matter how much you argue with them. Doesn't matter, you know, you see the old guys like Sparky Anderson and they're kicking all kinds of dust on the umpire's feet. The call is going to stand. It doesn't matter if the umpire made the wrong call. The call is going to stand. So the point I'm making is that you got to look at driving down a highway similar to 1970s baseball, before the instant replay was invented. Doesn't matter if it's a right or wrong call. Once they make that call, you're not going to change that. You can kick up a fuss like they do in 1970s baseball. You can kick dust and stuff around. But if you kick around dust, what happens to the umpire? They start escalating. Before you know it, the umpire is thrown completely out of the game. As a driver, that could mean your life or at least a beating or something of that nature. But at the end of the day, the call is not going to be overturned. That's the exact same mindset you got to look at when you're driving down a highway. Now, I know there's a hell of a lot of minorities that are not going to like that advice. But at the end of the day, there is a difference between arguing and trying to invoke your rights and actually going home safe and sound to your parents. So this is where I'm making this. This is not an argument about doing what the Constitution allows you to do. I'm making this point from a standpoint of going home to your parents, your children, your wife, your husband, whatever. This is an argument I'm making in regards to going home safe and sound. It's not about going home talking about, I protected my constitutional rights. I'm talking about going home alive. That's what I'm talking about. So understand that. So what I'm saying can sound, and to some degree it is, being submissive to what might even be a cop that's breaking a law. But what I am telling you is that you got a choice. You can go home to your parents safe and sound, or you can go out like some of these awful characters we're often discussing, followed by the phrase, say that person's name. Now, this individual obviously did not perish or anything like that, but I want to start out by showing you the video. And I'm going to give it to you from a standpoint of an African American that's been all over. This is a black guy that's been all over social media. And some would argue that he is barely considered black because he has a take on it that is, it's not positive. I don't agree with his take. I'm going to be clear with that, but I do want you to hear it because this is one other side of the argument.
A black man got punched in the face by Jacksonville police. I think he got what the fuck he deserved.
Can you call your supervisor? All right, go for it. Exit the vehicle now. Exit the vehicle. Show me your hands. Here. What is your reason, sir? What is your reason? Step out now. Put your hands on
I'm going to. People outraged if he got treated.
Okay, I do have a better, a more enlarged version of this video, but I just wanted you to hear this guy's commentary. That's all I want. I'm going to show you a larger version of this video, but I do want you to hear his commentary before we do it. That's why I'm showing you this. But he does show the video on his TikTok page. You can't see it very well on my screen. I get that, but I'm going to put it on full screen so you will be able to see at least the video footage that was filmed by the suspect.
This is why you shut the fuck up and comply. Stop acting entitled, thinking that you know more than the law. I think the punch in the face was slightly excessive, but no, I think they did a great job in getting his dumb ass out the car. Now, a lot of black people are outraged that he got treated like that by the police, but here's how it started.
Okay, and then he shows the video footage. Now I'm gonna give you the full screen version, and not of you folks have probably already saw this, But I'm showing the video for those who haven't seen it, and I say this because if you lean right or left, it can depend on what media and what news stories you have seen. Fact is, right-wing media do not cover a lot of these events until they're well into the outrage stage. If you watch left-wing media, they cover this shit immediately. But if you're watching right-wing media, it's got to start being a significant amount of outrage before they start talking about this stuff. Certainly if there's any inclination that a cop may have done something wrong, because the right tends to be more in favor of defending cops ad nauseum, I want to say. They're going to automatically jump to defending cops, where the left is going to be more likely to question authority. So until it gets to be something of significant outrage, it's not going to get covered as much on the right. Like, for instance, Fox News or something like that. They're not going to give it many segments. Whereas you watch it on MSNBC or CNN, you're going to get more coverage of this. So I'm playing it because I'm sure some of my audience probably has not seen this.
And now another perspective from a former prosecutor with more than 30 years of legal experience in Jacksonville. Our Sydney Deshawn is joining us now. And so, Sydney, shock, that's the word that this attorney says he felt while he was watching this video. Just shock. Tell us more.
Yeah, Jess, that's exactly right. He believes the incident is a clear situation that was a case of police brutality during what should have been a simple civil traffic stop. A traffic stop in Jacksonville is drawing national attention after cell phone and police body camera footage has come out. It shows Jacksonville sheriff's officers breaking 22-year-old William McNeil Jr.'s driver's side window and forcibly pulling him from his vehicle in February. Curtis Fallgetter, a former federal chief assistant prosecutor, calling the officers' actions disturbing.
It's a traffic stop.
Okay, now
Bust out a window and then smack.
There's a prosecutor, and he believes it's brutality. But I want to ask you folks, do you, and by the way, yes or no in the comments, and we'll start taking calls almost immediately here, but do you believe that if you are resisting arrest, non-compliant with law enforcement, do you believe that that automatically should entitle you to violence? I'm not, now listen, if you're not putting your hands behind your back, they got to force your hands behind your back. But as you see in this video, right after they broke out his window, they immediately punched him in the face. I mean, he immediately gets punched in the face. I'll rewind and play about 5 seconds of it. Now, you see him sitting there. I think most of my monitors should be able to give you a clear picture of this. You see the guy that is sitting there. Now, they're telling him to get out of the car, so he's not compliant. He is 100% non-compliant. And in addition to him getting pulled over for not having his headlights on in the rain or whatever, which sounds like a bullshit stop, he is, I believe, driving with no license. There are some clear violations that he has on him. So he is not a innocent driver by any means. He does have violations on him. But anyhow, that when they pull him over for driving in the rain without a headlight on. But anyhow, they asked him to get in the car. He's begging for a supervisor and all of this. And you see him refusing to get out of the car. So right here when I play the clip, they're at the point where the minute he refused to get out of the car, they smash out his car window and immediately strike him in the face. You'll see that real quick here. I'm going to turn the volume up on it, but you'll see it really quick there.
Shows Jacksonville sheriff's officers breaking 22-year-old William McNeil Jr.'s driver's side window and forcibly pulling him from his vehicle in February.
That's why I titled it Police Brutality. I don't, you know, maybe some of you folks can correct this and let me know what you see that I don't see any reason for that strike to the face. I mean, I get that he's not being compliant, but I believe the proper procedure, if you're not getting out of the car, is to break your window, open your door, and drag your ass out. I don't see any legitimate reason for striking him in the face. I just don't. So I want to hear from you folks. But also keep in mind, I don't see any legitimate reason for not complying with police if you want to go home safely. Going to the box, I mean, just struck him in the face. We'll start out right off the bat with Lewis. Good evening, Lewis. Welcome to the program. Now, am I getting this wrong? And hold on one second there, Lewis. Harley, welcome back. Says, do you do any uplifting topics? Those I start my super. Oh shit! You named the topic, Harley. Harley, you start your super chat. Wow, you named the topic, Harley, and we'll cover it specifically. Okay, and look, at the end of the day, what's happening in the news is kind of what we discussed, Harley. Being candid, whatever story's going on, the story of the day, whether it's Biden's failing economy, his cognitive health, or something Trump is doing, that's kind of what we cover. So I don't really get necessarily all the time to control the narrative because we don't know what's always going on, but we cover what is currently happening, what is currently, in the main news. So that's what we do. Thank you, by the way, Harley. Okay, Lewis, good evening.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Am I getting this one wrong? Now, have you seen this video yet?
Here's where you're wrong at, and this comes from years of it in the business of law enforcement. Number one, there is no reason to remove a pedestrian from their vehicle unless they are not getting back in that vehicle. If officer asks you to leave your vehicle, you are not getting back in your vehicle. Let's just get that part straight.
I gotta disagree with you. I've had my car searched. Well, I'll take that back. They didn't ask me to get out. They asked, "Do you mind if I search your vehicle?" And I let them do it. I'm in the middle of I let them. So I wasn't told to get out. I was asked.
And an officer in any academy is taught to answer any questions by a motorist. So if I ask you a question, you have to answer it. If I say to you, why do you want me to get out of my vehicle? He has to tell you. And if he says it's because I suspect you of carrying something or having something in your vehicle that may be dangerous to my safety, then that's when I can move you. And I can forcibly remove you after I explain that to you.
Yeah.
And when they busted his window out and they punched him in the face, what they should have been doing was reaching to unlock his door.
That's what I would have
taking
thought.
Taking off his seatbelt and snatching his ass out that car. Now, at that point, if they've explained to him that they are suspected of their safety, it has to be for reasons of your safety for why you remove a person from their vehicle, or to search for something because you expect something to be in that vehicle. You can't just remove them because you're pissed off because they won't let their window down.
Yeah. No, but what about what I stated in regards to looking at a traffic stop like 1970s baseball, meaning that doesn't matter if you don't like the call, the umpire's not going to reverse the call. This is before the era of instant replay. You never seen an umpire reverse the call no matter how much dust they kicked up on the umpire. At the end of the day, if you keep arguing, you just get tossed out of the game. And in this case, getting tossed out of the game could mean getting your ass kicked or even losing your life. So what I'm asking you is this. Even though I'm not disagreeing with anything you're saying, do you agree with my point that if you want to go home safe and sound to your family, compliance is likely the best option?
Absolutely. There's no question for that at all. I mean, and you can definitely take note. And that officer definitely should call his every patrol that's every patrol that's on duty has a supervisor. He's just an officer too, but he's on patrol at the same time that you are, and he should come to that scene once a supervisor is requested.
I had somebody else, because I didn't know that, and that's one reason why I like talking to you folks, is you often correct me on stuff. I didn't know that you could request a supervisor on every traffic stop, and they had to do that. Because I'm thinking like, this could clog up the system. If everybody requested a supervisor, how could the police actually function? Let's say I get pulled over by a state trooper in the middle of no damn where. That means the supervisor got to drive all the way out there?
Because you know why it's not a problem? Because people are just like you. They don't know their rights.
True. But if they did,
did that answer that question for you?
That answers the question, but it also makes me wonder. Okay, if everybody,
it happens in this form, it comes up a lot. But on the roads, I'm gonna tell you something. When I pull people over, I have never, ever been asked to bring a supervisor to the scene. In the 12 years I did it, I never had anybody tell me to bring a supervisor. And I'm talking about some situations where if I was on their end, I would have asked for a supervisor. You know what I'm saying? Because
but what would lead a person that is doing nothing wrong to ask for a supervisor before getting out of the car? I'm curious.
Because they feel like they haven't been done, and you don't know that person's experience with the law enforcement in that area prior to that.
True.
That's what's not being shown to. They're showing you him being stopped and the officers are approaching his car. But you don't know if it was a car chase before that, if he didn't stop immediately when the officers got behind him. And when you get into a car chase, especially officers.
But wait a minute, you're telling me the suspect in a car chase can still demand a supervisor?
Absolutely.
Before they take him out of the car?
He's not going to get one, but he's requested.
Okay, there we go. I was wondering. Okay, there we go.
He's not going to get one. He's going to get a beat down. Let's just be serious, because we got to figure with those officers. You remember what happened to Rodney King?
Yes, I do.
When an officer gets in a car chase, especially when it endangers several people's lives, their adrenaline is flowing so much, and they are so hyped up and so scared. Let me tell you something, Chuck. I'm going to tell you this right here. When I used to go, run up on kids, I'd tell them, I say, Tyrone, you run and make me chase you with all this heavy shit on, I'm going to beat your ass when I catch you. Now, don't get it wrong. I never do that. Because
Okay.
the kids would still run, but they come walking back after they get what they have on them off them. They just don't want to get caught.
But isn't you making such a threat like that, which is a threat of brutality? Aren't you too harming the relationship between those kids and police?
No, because most of them come walking back and saying, "I'm sorry, Mr. Lewis. I'm sorry. You know, they know. See, one thing about what's wrong with law enforcement is this: most officers now don't have relationships with their community.
True.
That's where the problem lies at.
Hang on, Gates. I didn't mean to bring you up. Go ahead.
That's the problem is most officers don't get any kind of culture diversity training. They get very little anyway. So a lot of them, they live in the suburbs, they have clean records, they go off to the academy, and then they stick them right down in the city.
Yeah.
Most officers, most young officers are going to work terrified. They don't know the territory. They can't even chase a kid. They get that experience after being on the force for a little while, where they get to know their community. And if they never bother, they just go in, punch the clock, and go home every day. They have no relationship, no connection to the communities.
But is that necessarily just the fault of law enforcement, or is that possibly the fault of the African American community, which we don't normally want to be police officers in our community, yet we complain when other people are policing our communities? What about the notion that there should be?
It's not that. It's just that most of us, by the time we grow up, if you grow up in the city, by the time you're old enough to become a police officer, you don't qualify to be a police officer.
Wow.
You may have a petty record. You may have a little crime. I'm gonna tell you something. When I worked as a trainer, I never was a street beat cop. I worked as a trainer for law enforcement, and I can honestly tell you, when I'm riding around with some of those young cops, black or white, it doesn't matter what color they are, because they all just become blue, believe it or not, once they're on the force. They all look out for each other, regardless of what their races are. And when they're riding through the neighborhoods and they see all the little kids walking around with their pants hanging off their butt, skateboards on the sidewalks, and they're screaming at the little kids. And then they ride by the thugs, Tim, and they don't say nothing. They're screaming out at the little kids. When them kids are like 9, 10, 12, 14 years old, well, they might not even mess with a 14-year-old thug, but they'll scream at the little kids. So those kids grow up hating cops. And those 14, 15-year-old kids, now that are grown, who got harassed by the cops all those years when they were young and little, now don't like the cops.
Well, is this something that is only prevalent in our communities, though? I mean, because do white kids grow up hating cops like black kids do?
Tim, I've lived at my house that I live in right now, that we moved in, brand new house. I'm 2 blocks from the police station. I have never seen one of them come down my street. Now, I live in a prominently Caucasian community. I have never seen them down my street. But in the African American community, they're constantly riding up and down the streets. They're constantly riding up and down the streets.
Well, you know what the pushback is going to be, though, is that they police the black communities more heavily because that's where the crime is. How do you respond to that?
I don't think it has nothing to do with the color part of it. Doesn't have much to do with it. But poverty breeds crime.
True.
Poverty breeds crime. Because I'm going to give you a perfect example of that. right now, you know, in America, there's a lot of regentrification going on. Those same communities that were downtown
Yeah.
now are YT communities. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you don't see that. So it has nothing to do with, are there upscale
But
minorities?
but when you say poverty breeds crime, and I'm not totally disagreeing with that, I am thinking of, like, you know, where I grew up on the south side of Chicago, and you know, all of the crime. I'm talking about
I didn't say it breeds criminals. I say it breeds crime.
I get your point, but what I'm saying is the level of crime that happens in the black community, it does seem to be worse than what happens in impoverished white communities. I mean, you know, I grew up around drive-bys and shit like that, where you hear fights.
That's so not true, Tim. I live pretty close to Baltimore,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna tell you right now. When you think of Baltimore, which is a crime-infested city, Baltimore is in the top 5 probably. The worst part of Baltimore is a white community. Ask anybody about Pig's Head. Pig's Head is a white community. It's where all the heroin and all the drugs and all the
And they shooting and killing each other and everything.
Absolutely. Trust me, cops don't even go there. Cops don't even go there. You hear what I'm saying? It's an inner city infestation. It has nothing to do with black, white, Asian. If you go to Chinatown, who you think is running Chinatown?
I mean, I get that. I get all of that, but I'm just simply saying, I've never been.
You think there's no gangs in Chinatown?
Yeah, but not. I'm just simply saying, I'm from Chicago, and I've been, you know, my whole life I've been familiar with Chicago. I've been all over that city, and I'm telling you, there's a Chinatown, there are white neighborhoods, there are Italian neighborhoods, there are Asian, Vietnam neighborhoods, and all of that shit. Our neighborhoods get busy compared to it ain't the same. It ain't even close to the same.
But Tim, they make it that way. Chicago's not even in the top 12 worst cities in the United States. But what city do you always hear about?
Well, that's a right-wing talking point. I mean, I get that part. That's a right-wing talking point. But what I'm saying is, I'm familiar with Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which has a bunch of crime, and I'm kind of familiar with St. Louis. It's still predominantly our neighborhoods that are getting busy like that.
Yeah, but one thing I'm saying is that we're not the only ones that.
I don't disagree with that.
We're not the only ones. I agree. I can't explain that, but I just think a hit dog will holler. I really do believe that, and I think that a lot of especially African American communities, we're just fed up, Tim. You had a thing on one of your posts. I look at all your little silly posts. I really hate most of them, but I like it. But,
what did I do this time?
You got one with that guy who you.
That guy. I think that guy does not like his own skin color.
I'll tell you something, Tim. If you show me another one of those, I'm coming through the screen. I'm gonna punch you in your face. But because he's trying to be the male version of Candace.
Yeah, he is. But I like to draw attention to it. But yeah, he's real bad.
But he's dumb, and I told him in his live that I thought he was dumb, and I'm gonna tell you why I think he's dumb. Because he didn't learn from Candace Owens. She's been kicked to the curb like yesterday's garbage by the right wing. They don't want nothing to do with her after she was the loudest microphone for all those years, and now they don't do anything. And not only what I say to most people, and what you need to bring to attention, especially when you get a blacker in here, you know what I mean by blacker, right?
Black MAGA.
There you go. Okay, so my thing is, when you get one of them in here, ask him all those guys that were out cheering for Donald Trump before the election, from old Bubba Lips and what's the guy from Cosby Show? I can't remember his name. The one he looks like he's from South Carolina. He's from South Carolina or North Carolina. Tim Scott.
Oh, okay.
From Tim Scott to all the rest of them that were out campaigning for Donald Trump, going to Philly and sitting in smoke shops with all the black. How many of them ended up on the administration?
None of them did. Come on, Byron Donalds and all them, none.
What you gotta understand is your proximity to whiteness will never get you treated like a white man. And that's what a lot of them don't get. Even if they are gonna, I don't have a problem with Republicans or black people being Republicans. I understand it in a lot of ways because a lot of it can relate, especially when you look at the conservative side of it, the true conservative side of it. I can see that being a thing because most people, especially if you're a Christian, which I'm not. But most Christians grow up thinking they're conservatives their whole life. We grow up hearing about being conservative is the way to go.
Yeah.
So that alone in itself is attractive to a lot of black people. I understand that. You follow what I'm saying?
I'm kind of torn on it. There's a lot of conservative principles that do fall in line with Christianity, but I don't think the whole pull yourself up by your bootstraps and capitalism do it all. I mean, so if you really break down conservative, because I think socialism would be more closer to what Jesus would favor than capitalism. Capitalism is all about greed, and I'm taking care of me, you take care of you. That don't sound like what I was taught.
Do you believe in the second coming?
I'm not very religious anymore.
What happens if he tries to come across that border right now?
He'll be approached by people with masks and preventing entry.
What happens if he flies into LaGuardia right now? You know what I'm saying?
He might get treated like this kid. He might get treated like this boy in the car, this kid in the car right here. So,
no doubt about it. No doubt about it. And I do believe that if the second coming was to happen, I don't think he'd be walking around. I think he would probably be riding in a Bentley. But my thing is that definitely, but you know what I'm saying. So I don't think all preachers have to be poor is what I'm saying. But my thing is, I just want people to know is that you have rights, and the best way you could defend yourself from what happened to this young man is to know your rights. But he crossed the line.
All right.
Because when he seen that was about to happen to him, he should have
complied. Yeah, he should have complied.
He should have complied. He should have complied. Even though you've done everything, especially if you got a camera that's watching you comply the whole time. So now you still have some ammunition to support you regardless of what happens to you when you leave that vehicle. Because he had a camera on the officers.
Well, when he leaves the vehicle, they beat his ass some more.
And by the time he left the vehicle, they know, just like they know, and he didn't know that they had already fucked up. So they knew that they could do anything now because they had already messed up.
Really?
Those officers definitely will probably lose their jobs or be held. They'll be held accountable, no question about it.
I don't feel confident that's going to happen. Lewis, I do got to move it on, but if that happens, I would love to talk to you again. I'm not confident. I mean, we just see what happened in the Breonna Taylor's case. They had to beg the courts.
What I mean by is they're held accountable is they're relieved of their duties with pay for 6 months. Tim,
you said lose their jobs. I don't believe that's going to happen.
Well, what I mean by lose it, I mean is that they won't be on the beats tomorrow. I don't mean they're going to lose their jobs completely. You know what I'm saying?
They're going to be given they're going to be on paid administrative leave. That don't sound like losing your job to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
That sounds like a fucking vacation. I got to move it on, Lewis.
I shouldn't have said losing.
Yeah, you shouldn't have said lose your job. Okay. All right, Lewis. Appreciate you coming through. And yeah, I don't feel confident anything's going to happen to these guys because at the end of the day, the guy was resisting. Now, they responded to him resisting arrest harshly. I mean, I don't see any justification for him getting hit in the face. But fact is, when most of these cases happen, the victim of these cases is not some innocent person that was just following the law and the cops started beating their ass. Most of the folks that find themselves in these situations, they were committing some kind of crime or violation before this stuff started happening. And the reason I'm bringing that up is that alone makes people less sympathetic to what happened to you. You don't generally see any of these folks that are just simply walking down the street and the cops walk up and just start beating the hell out of them. In most cases, they are now. Some of the ones I would put in that category, Trayvon Martin is a perfect example of somebody who was just walking down the street. But George Zimmerman was not a cop. Trayvon Martin is a perfect example of somebody who was just minding his business, doing nothing wrong, and criminality found him. And then, of course, they found George Zimmerman innocent. But in most cases, it is an issue where you're doing something and you don't comply with the police. And then the police they escalate it to a level where they shouldn't go to that level, and that's where the case sparks off. But it is a certain amount of non-compliance in it. People don't like to bring that up, but there is some non-compliance in it. Michael says they already said they didn't violate any laws. Wow. Well, with the video, damn, they seen them hit the dude in the face. They said no laws were violated. Wow. And that's what I said. I don't feel confident anything's going to come out of it. I didn't feel confident even before I heard that information. Fact is, the cops get widespread leeway on what they can do to you, certainly if you're not compliant. And in this case, they not only hit him in the face, but then they take him out of the car and they start saying, quit fighting, which kind of, just like if somebody say, quit reaching for my gun or quit resisting, it gives you more leeway to what you're doing to him on the ground. If I'm going to fuck you up while you're on the ground, I'll yell out just for the cameras, quit resisting, quit grabbing for my gun. Because it kind of gives you plausible deniability on whether you were actually doing something wrong. Like, hey, I was out, and people do buy that. People do buy that. Anyway, looking in the comments, Stone Cold says, Trump is a god. You think Trump is a god, really? Based on what? Does your God do all the stuff Trump did? Praise your God there if that's the case. I'm not from the USA, but from video I see, I know law better now than many cops. Yikes. Paul, why don't we just release the list? Why are you defending? You know, the crazy thing is, even when we try not to talk about the list, the public sphere, if I can, for lack of a better term, is so focused on the Epstein list. I don't think there is anything, and God knows Trump has tried. I don't think there is anything that could divert people from demanding that list. To me, it's almost as if you got Trump and Epstein flying along in an aircraft, and the public is firing missiles at the aircraft. And I'm just making this up, of course. And Trump and Epstein is trying to prevent the missiles from hitting them, because that's the bullseye. It's Trump and Epstein. They're popping off flares. One flare is Rosie O'Donnell's citizenship is going to get taken. The missiles do not go at that flare. You know, we're hearing everything from, we're going to arrest Obama. That's another flare they dumped out. The missiles are not tracking that flare. No matter what they pop off, the missiles continue tracking that aircraft. It just seems like that. So many things have come out since people have started demanding the Epstein list. Now he's talking about locking up Hillary Clinton. In fact, here's something he said just a couple hours ago. Once again, dumping flares.
Saying Obama is the ringleader. Hillary Clinton was right there with him, and so was Sleepy Joe Biden, and so were the rest of them. Comey, Clapper, the whole group. And they tried to rig an election, and they got caught. The witch hunt that you should be talking about is they caught President Obama absolutely cold, Tulsi Gabbard. What they did to this country in 2016, starting in 2016, but going up to 2020 of the election, they tried to rig the election, and they got caught. And there should be very severe consequences for that. You know, when we caught Hillary Clinton, I said, you know what? Let's not go too far here. It's the ex-wife of a president, and I thought it was sort of terrible, and I let her off the hook.
Let's not go too far. Every rally, you're letting people yell, lock her up. Let's not go too far. That's all we talked about was Hillary Clinton throughout Trump's first term. But the point I'm making is, all of the stuff you just heard there, those are all flares being dumped off the side of the aircraft. But yet the public missile is still tracking the Trump and Epstein aircraft. No matter how many different flares they throw out, each flare represents a different topic, a different diversion. The missiles are still tracking the aircraft. So I don't know if they're going to run out of flares before, or if the missile is going to hit, but they're trying. I got to give Trump credit. He's trying. Now you got Speaker Johnson. They took a recess early. Because people were demanding Congress do something about this. So they're dropping flares all over the place, but I don't know if there's any way to stop this. And of course, folks are suggesting, well, why didn't Biden release the list? More flares. People are tracking this. People are tracking this. Once you realize there are no sides, only players, you'll be all right, says Sassy. I like that. Trump should have called it Operation Bullseye. MAGA back in business. I don't know about that, Paul. I don't know about that. This Epstein stuff is not going away. I don't think MAGA's prevailing on this one particular subject. Gangsta Grandma. Good evening, Gangsta.
You stupid coon ass. What the fuck? Over here agreeing with the fucking po-po.
How the hell did I...
Yeah, let me tell you something with your fucking bipolar looking ass. Let me tell you this. He don't have to get out of the fucking car. He was doing the thing. He don't have to. He asked for the damn supervisor.
Gangsta, the man don't even have a legitimate license. What the hell you mean?
I don't give a damn if you don't have a license. You still gonna have to punch a fucking man. You still have to bust out his fucking window. Quit being a fucking white man. I know you like it. I know you like the white women, but unfortunately, they don't like your black ass.
Did you hear anything I said at all other than just
I said what you said. You're a coon actor. That's what you is. You just want to be white so fucking bad. Oh, no, well, you know what? He should have got hit. He should have done the shit. They should have busted out the fucking window. They should have punched his ass. But you know what thing is up? Because he's in Florida. They're gonna walk on this shit, and you're over here coonizing with this son of a bitch. I'm so glad I ain't married to a man like you. I'd be going to jail. I sure would. I'd be going to jail. I can't do it.
I think you heard what you wanted to hear. I mean, I made it.
You said it. You said, oh, well, if you just get out of the car, you can go home. What the fuck? You comply with the damn popos, and they're still on like your black ass.
Give me some examples of people who were complying with the cops and they still got unalive.
That dude in a white car, I forgot his damn name. Rest his peace. A black man in a white car. He told them he had a gun.
Okay. That is a legitimate. Yeah, that's a legitimate example.
My brother did that. Who else? A lot of them did that.
Okay.
Get the fuck out of here with your coon eyes and that looking ass.
I think you just so focused on.
You see, that's how white you are. Oh, well, if you get out the car, you go home. Well, those motherfuckers didn't go home. They did everything fucking right.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Hold on. Look, I don't mind the fucking insults. I get that. But let me ask you this question. If this dude, when he was asked to get out of the car, got out of the car, do you think he would get hit in the face still?
Hell yeah. They's looking for a reason to get him.
No.
They's looking. And then, yes, go check your fucking head, white boy. Then, you know what they said in the Popo report? They said he was trying to reach for a fucking knife. And you know what you know what the reporter said? They didn't even look like he was doing it.
So you believe that when they
be quiet.
Hold on,
She's being a little rough.
how the hell we gonna look? We gotta have a conversation. I get you don't like it.
I'm talking to you. I'm talking to the Popo in the
Okay.
I'm talking to you.
Okay, fair enough. So you're saying that when they pulled this guy over claiming he didn't have his headlights on, if they had pulled him over and he had to comply, gave him his license and everything, stepped out of the car, they still would have just beat him up?
They would have.
Based on what?
Popo, let me tell you. Oh my God, Tim, I can't choke the fuck out you. I just want to go like a ghost dad and choke you the fuck. Do you really think, man, they have to have a reason to get you? Do you really? Do you?
You make it sound like...
All they got to do is pull your ass. They gotta pull your black ass over and they can do it. What the fuck? I'm looking for.
You make it sound like they just driving around looking to beat this dude up. I don't buy that.
Oh, okay. You don't buy it? All right, Jimmy. You go out there with your black ass and you're gonna get fucking pulled over.
What are you talking about?
Your real ID with the star on it.
Hold on, hang on one second.
My birth certificate is missing.
I don't know.
It was in a manila.
You wonder what I do it. You need it right now for what?
I need Jill stuff.
I fucking know. Now, hold on. Anyway, I got somebody helping me. I don't buy the notion that they were just going to beat this person up. I just.
You don't know. For one, there's two white cops. Get the fuck out of here.
There was a black cop, but there was a black cop present at the same time as well.
Okay? I don't give a damn. They black, they white, they Hispanic. They still ride for the damn blue. And they just as dirty because they don't call the asses out. I don't, you know what, let me tell you something. I've seen it. I've seen police brutality, and don't tell me, oh, if you follow everything and you do it all, no, bitch. They'll still get you.
Yeah.
And that's fucking Florida? Get the fuck out of here. And then, let me tell you something. And then you got the Orange Jesus in office that said he's going to give all of the popos immunity. So he should never have got hit, and he should never have got his damn thing busted. They should have opened the fucking door, and then they lied and said his seatbelt was not off. His seatbelt was off.
So
his
then,
seatbelt was off.
So then let me ask you this, based on what you're saying, if the police are going to beat him up no matter what the hell he does, should he have just taken off running? I mean, according to you, he was going to get beaten up no matter how sweet and nice he was. They were going to beat him up anyway.
He sat down, and he asked for the damn supervisor. He asked. He said, I want your supervisor.
But according to you, no matter what he did, no matter how much he complied, they were going to beat him up anyway. So even if he asked for the supervisor, you're making it sound like there was nothing he could do. They were just looking to find somebody to beat up.
If the cops were going to do right, they would have opened that fucking door and they would have got him out. If the cop was going to do right, they would have busted out his damn window and punched his ass. The cop was dirty.
I'm not.
The cop is dirty.
I'm not. Go ahead.
I'm telling you, Tim. I promise you. I tell you, I'm going to come through this one and choke the fuck out your ass because I'm so done with your fucking cooning ass.
You sound worse than the damn cop you complaining about. You sound more.
You know what? At least I'm on your damn side. I wouldn't want to unalive your black ass. They do.
They reached through the window and punched him. You talking about choking my ass? You worse than they are. You got a badge at the crib?
Because you're colonizing and you're over here saying, oh, well, you know what, if you just would have corroborated, he would have walked get the fuck out of there. Still busted out his damn window. They still punched it in his ass.
The way you talking, you got a badge at the crib? You sound like one of the people you complaining about.
No, I ain't a popo. You'll never, hell to the fuck. I will never date a popo. You got me fucked up. I don't fuck with the popo. They stay the fuck away from me.
I
can't stand the police. But let me tell you something. But then, you know your little orange Jesus that you be worshiping with all the little maggots? You know?
What are you getting at?
You remember all the little maggots? All your little beloved maggots.
What about them?
You know what? I hope. But you know how the other two people got unalived, died. 14 recipes, Ozzy and Bill Cosby, that guy on Bill Cosby. We need one more. And guess what? They was the good ones. You know?
What are you trying? Okay, we lost Malcolm Jamal Warner from the Cosby Show. We lost Ozzy Osbourne.
The good one.
Those are the
devil is still fucking walking in the presence. Gosh damn it, see? I tell you.
I'm afraid, I think I know where we're going with this, but I got to ask for the sake of the show. Who is the devil that's still walking?
Oh, Orange Jesus. And he's losing his fucking mind. Did you see all the rapping? Ooh, let me tell you. There's a list. Oh, it's getting good. Oh, it's going to get good. And you know, the white family that he's trying to sue, oh, they're going to take it to court. You know why? You know why they're going to take it to court? Because they can't do discovery, and it's going to get really good and juicy. You feel what I'm saying?
Well, I'm going to tell you something. Trump normally wins, so don't expect Trump to lose if this goes to court.
No. This motherfucker got money. This motherfucker got more money than that damn fucking broke ass bimbo in office.
Wait, hold on. Elon Musk has more money than Rupert Murdoch, and look what Trump did to Elon.
Okay. Elon is still Elon. He got his Tesla. He's doing his thing on there, and he's just kissing ass to him to get more shit.
He lost to Trump.
That white key man ain't going nowhere.
Trump is a winner. Trump is a winner. He beat Elon. He's going to beat Rupert Murdoch probably.
Oh my God! If you think Donald Trump's a fucking winner, then you a fucking brain dead. You drink too much of the fucking white man's Kool-Aid.
Okay, hold on. Hear me out before you jump in. The man beat 2 impeachments. The man beat 91 original federal charges, got reduced. He ended up being convicted of 30 some odd felonies. He beat all of that shit. He's beat the liberals like, hold on.
He beat the felonies. He's still convicted. He didn't beat them.
And What? I mean,
But let me quote, who's in office? Who's in control of it? The Republicans.
the guy is a winner. You don't want to give him credit for that, but
You know, that's not a winner. When you have to break the laws, it is a winner. God. Oh my fucking God.
I'm-
But let me tell you something. And if Jeremy is, let me tell you something. We're getting way off track because Jeremy's about to get his ass beat. On God. Okay? I will go meet him and I'll beat
why are
him
you
up.
so violent? You sound like a cop. Why are you so
I
violent?
can't stand white tea men that thinking that they look what he told me, okay? In the comments, he said, you know what, your daughters got into Stanford. For DEI. No, bitch. My kids got into Stanford for having fucking straight A's and shit.
Why are you so hostile?
Because I can't stand the white tea people like that. Thinking, oh, it's DEI. No, bitch. My kids bust their ass for
But
it.
hold on, hear me out. When you constantly talking about how you can't stand white tea people, you know damn well if some. Hold on. Let me get my point. Let me get the point out. While you're constantly talking about how you can't stand white tea people and talking about reaching through screens and choking motherfuckers, you do realize that if any white guy talked the way you talk about not being able to stand black people, you would be yelling racism, would you not?
I have a point.
What?
The maggots. They are the ones. They are the ones that started this shit. They voted for this shit and they started this shit. The DEI shit. He didn't have to tell me that my kids with DEI went to still going to Stanford. No, they went on merit. They busted their ass. It took them almost 6 months to get in for September. So what the fuck? And I call them out.
Okay, you get.
I call they bitches out. See, I'm not like you. I don't cupcake. I don't suck on them. I don't like, oh my beloved. And I don't say, yes, master. No, I give them holy fucking hell. They give me fucking holy hell. I'm giving them back holy hell. And either ways, the fucking, what is that called? The interbred. That's why. All this shit they integrate.
Well, I'll tell you right off the bat. You got my audience going wild. Chewy Vanderbilt says insane liberals always resort to hostility. You're making him correct by doing what you're doing. He's accurate. He's telling the truth.
I'm kissing a white man's ass. I'm not like you, Tim. I'm not on this platform kissing a white man's ass, saying yes, master, and being a colonizer for the po-po.
No, someone.
I'm not like you. I'm the opposite of you. I get ghetto and everything. Yes, I am very educated. But man, but this motherfucker will get ghetto and I'll terrorize their asses and I'll send them to pits of fucking hell where they belong to.
I don't understand how, if I wrote down what you just said since we've been talking, and I didn't tell you the race of the person that said what the stuff, you would think that person was racist. If
I'm not racist.
No.
I'm telling the fucking truth. What does the maggots do? What does the maggots do? They voted for this man. They're doing shit to the Hispanic community. They're coming for fucking us. They degrade the black community. And you over here saying, oh, well, you're being racist.
No, I am simply saying if someone was to aim your language at a black person, you would say that person is racist. If a white person talked just like you are about whites, but the white person was talking about blacks, you would say they're racist. You would say your own language represents racism.
And then you look at your little white tea friend that you be jacking off with and say, you've been exposed. Been exposed to what, bitch? Been exposed to what? That I call your fucking uncooked ass meat out? Fuck yeah, I do. Expose me, bitch. Because you ain't gonna whoop my ass. I'll put you on a damn t-shirt.
Oh my
You're
God.
gonna find out.
All right, Gacy, I gotta move it on.
Let me tell you something, though.
Real quick.
On some real shit. Let me tell you something, Tim. You need to get some fucking balls and quit going and saying that boy did that because he did have his rights and they shouldn't have punched his ass. Now watch, and when the maggots come, they're gonna say, "Oh, he deserved it." You better, I swear to God, you better say he did not deserve that shit. Or I'm gonna come back up here and you won't like me then. Because if you think I'm bad now, I'll get very ghetto.
Gangsta Grandma, always a pleasure. Thank you for coming through. All right, moving on with the program. Gangsta don't make it easy on me. That's how it is. She doesn't make it easy on me. I am a MAGA-loving Hispanic, says Chewy Vanderbilt. This woman is a typical disgusting racist. We can all tell that. You keep going, brother. Thank you. She don't make it easy on me. She doesn't often like my take on a lot of opinions. But when I say we run an uncensored program here and we let the people speak, that is kind of what we mean here. So you can be critical of anybody on the show up to and including the host. She probably is. I would probably give her the title of being my insultant. That's my insultant. I lean center left. But I get more flack from the left just represented through her than anybody that identifies as MAGA. I've never heard MAGA come on the program and threaten to give me the threaten to insult, give me personal harm. So it is what it is. Anyway, let me continue on with the program. Hi, black people can't be racist. We love the white man too much. Well, I believe anybody can be racist, and I get flack for that as well, but I don't buy into the notion that, let's say, for instance, only whites can be racist. I don't believe that. I believe anyone is capable of being racist. A lot of blacks, make no mistake about it, a lot of African Americans believe that being black, due to our minority status and our lack of power in this country, excludes us from being racist. I don't buy into that. I believe you can be racist as an individual. So I don't buy into that, but we talk about that sometimes. Looking in the comments, I'm white and I love the black folks and try to make things better between our races. It's good on you. But people like this lady putting a wedge between us all. Why? I don't understand why can't we all just get along. Opinions. People's opinions is why we can't get along. People have deep-seated stereotypes and opinions of each other. There's only one race, the human race. Everyone is able to be, it shows she is an example. All right, fair enough. Let me continue on with the program. Somebody said you've been exposed, Grandma. Wow. Tap the screen, by the way. I have not asked for that, and we're very low. We should be around 20,000 by now. Tap the screen, get the likes on up. Get your boy up to about 15,000. We'll start taking, we'll continue taking callers. Tim, call me. Let me speak, please. I got something great, says John White. Well, the way we take callers on the program is you got to be on, if you're on Clapper or if you're on TikTok right now, that's where the calls come through. We are currently live on Clapper. The same screen name, Handsome Liberal, across all platforms. Come on up on Clapper. I'll bring you right up. Clapper or TikTok, we'll bring you right up. You look like my ex, says Hugo Gomez. You're a dude, and I look like your ex. Okay, all right, Hugo. America is the only country that still has racism. It seems that way. God heal us, please, in your name. I'm blessed to know of you. Amen. Says Sharp Corner, some roadman. Let me first vehemently disagree with you from the notion of America is the only country that still has racism. I'm going to say something that probably would be unpopular, particularly to minorities, but I believe racism in America is significantly less than it is in most countries around the world. And I'll tell you why I say that. America is one of the few countries that's even tried to put everybody together. Most countries you go to, you can't even hardly get in that motherfucker. Most countries you go to, they don't even have diversity. America is one of the few countries that's even trying it. Yeah, lots of us don't get along. There is a long history of racism in America. But at the end of the day, this country has more diversity in it than most countries on earth. There's very few countries on earth that has diversity as America does. And the ones that do, they're complaining about racism. Like somebody mentioned Canada, for instance. The blacks in Canada complain about racism. They actually do complain about it. But I don't think Canada even has anywhere near the diversity of America. But I don't have a lot. I've been to Canada. I don't have a lot of experience there. I'll tell you for a fact, Australia does not have anywhere near the diversity of America. In fact, up to the 1970s, Australia still had keep Australia white policies. That was their actual policy, keep Australia white. They were still doing it up to the 1970s. So there's no shortage of racial issues in this country. I'm not trying to make America painted in some great light, but what I am saying is at least they have tried it here. I mean, you've had politicians from, there's a hell of a lot of Hispanics, a hell of a lot of blacks that have reached positions of leadership. not the president, but throughout the military, throughout smaller and state and city governments, there's plenty of places. In fact, out of the top 20 largest cities in America, many of them have black mayors. I think the top 4, Chicago, New York, LA, and Houston, they're all black mayors. They're all black. My guess is if you start going to if you go down the top 10, most of them probably have black mayors. So you don't see that in many other countries. You just don't see diversity to that level in many other countries. But like I said, I'm not saying racism doesn't exist here, but it is one of the few countries where we have tried diversity. So I don't put America at the top in terms of racism. I put it at the top in terms of you hearing about racism here, because all of the people are in a position where they can speak and make it known. Most other countries don't have that diversity, so you're not going to hear about it as much. And that brings out the ire in some folks, like Gurry TV says, you are blind to the reality. Like I said, if you want to go to, if you wanted to be governor of a state, most countries have, their version of city, county, and states. I don't think most other countries would you be afforded the same opportunities as a minority to potentially be a governor or even a mayor of a town like you can in America. Most countries it's limited. It's very limited. If you go to a diverse climate, it's very limited as to how high you can climb. Now, if you're black and you want to go to an African country, yeah. But if you go to Norway or you want to go to Sweden and do it, I'm thinking your chances are better of achieving success here in America. That's my opinion. Looking in the comments, Obama was the first mixed president, not first black. We still got to wait for the first black president. All right, if you want to say mixed. Here's my take on it before I go to the next. Are we at 20,000? Tap the screen, get the likes on up so I can take the next caller, damn it. Tap the screen if you're watching on TikTok. When you hear that Obama or Kamala are mixing all of this stuff, to me, that is somewhat of, I don't want to say racism, but it's in that category because they're black no matter what the fuck they do until they try to run for president, then suddenly they're mixed. If Obama was that 22-year-old sitting there got punched in the face, he would be black. Nobody would be talking about he's mixed. All of a sudden he runs for president and suddenly he's mixed. Everything he's done throughout his entire life, he was referred to as being a black man. Now all of a sudden he runs for president, well, suddenly he's fucking mixed now. I don't buy into that. I'm just simply saying that. Most countries don't pull someone out of the car for not driving with lights on during the day, only in America. I don't know enough to disagree with you. I mean, the American police force is known for being harsh, but shit, I don't know. You feel confident that wouldn't happen in Russia, North Korea? I don't know about that. Now, in the free world, the police force, most of the police forces in the free world are not known to be as hostile as they are in America. But I will say some of that, in addition to racism, I'm not denying that racism exists, but in addition to that, I always bring up the Second Amendment. A lot of cops are on edge and do, happy trigger fingers and shit like that because they know the American citizens are all armed. So a lot of people have been prematurely shot because they were, quote unquote, reaching for something. That whole Kyle Rittenhouse event, where there was a protest in Kenosha, that was over somebody that was allegedly reaching for something. If you're in the country where they know you don't have firearms, they don't act as brutal because they're not as, the cops, a lot of cops in America are frightened, they're scared because they know the citizens are just as armed as they are. The same, like my last call against the grandma, she brought up, Ahmad Diallo or whatever his name was, the guy who was sitting in the car with his girlfriend and his young child. And he actually acknowledged that he had a firearm on him. He was doing nothing wrong. But the cop shot him like 4 times, suggesting he was reaching in the glove compartment or something like that. When you're in a country where everybody is armed, you're going to have people that are more on edge. And then you throw in there a trigger-happy cop that may have his own stereotypical assumptions about black people, and then it can get worse. But, there's a reason why they touch your quarter panel in your car when they pull you over. just in case something happened to them, they have their fingerprints in your car. A lot of cops were scared. A lot of cops were scared with so many people armed. Arbery. Oh, Orlando Castile. That's who it is. Yes. Orlando Castile is the guy. Ahmaud Arbery's the guy that was jogging in Georgia, and they thought he was taking some shit from the neighbor house, and they jumped in their cars and tracked him down and killed him. That's a different guy. Real quick in the comments, he reached for the gun. No, he actually didn't. He actually did not reach, Tony. And I'll tell you the reason why I say that. Anytime you have these events where there's more than one cop on scene and only one fires, that makes it clear the other cop didn't see that. When they shot that guy 4 times, talking about Orlando Castile, the cop on the driver's side did it. The cop on the passenger side didn't fire a single shot. So clearly he didn't see him reaching for shit. So he didn't reach. He did not reach for a firearm. Look, the guy got his kid and daughter in the car, no criminal history, and he just decides to reach for a gun, cops flanking him. And you believe that? That doesn't mean he wasn't reaching for a gun. No, it doesn't mean he was either. It doesn't mean he was reaching either. Looking in the comments, in America, we can't even expect the same level of responsibility we demand from our pizza delivery guys out of our cops. They hidden wrong addresses constantly. I'm not gonna disagree with any of that. Some of that stuff does happen. If you're that scared, you don't need to be a police officer. What do you think is happening right now with ICE? They're wearing masks all over the place, claiming they're scared that if they show their identity, people are going to come fuck with them. That's what they're using as an excuse for why they are concealing their identities, is that they're scared the public is going to come after them. But I agree with you. If you're scared, find another job. Let me go to the box. We'll continue on with Captain America. Good evening, top dog. Good evening, Captain America. Welcome to the program. Am I getting this wrong? Because I'm getting hammered, obviously. This is obviously a racially charged topic. Do you disagree with what I said, that you get pulled over on a traffic stop? They're not gonna bend to your will. So complying is your best option in terms of making it home to your family safe and sound.
I agree with that. Complying is definitely your best option. It's kind of sad, but it is your best option.
Yeah.
I think the problem is with the African American community, and I'm not African American. Let me just say that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the problem is there's been so much racial history between them and the police that it's really hard for them to trust people, and that's plain and simple. And anybody that doesn't see that is just ignorant. So the wrong thing is done, and they're used to that. And so when you're used to that, why do you feel like you need to do the right thing if they're not going to do the right thing?
I don't disagree with that, but I guess the point I'm trying to make is, okay, the main era when cops were really bad to African Americans would have been back in the 1950s and 1960s. They're bad now, but they're nowhere near as bad as they were back then, because they can, if it's caught on video, they can, at least to some degree, face some level of accountability. But do we continue just holding a grudge because of, we know a neighbor across the country got beat up?
Until there's some sort of reform, I mean, I don't see why not. I mean, like I said, I'm not African American, but I feel like if I was, I wouldn't be able to trust police.
No, I don't. Listen, if I'm in a liquor store and somebody come in there and rob the place, I don't trust the robber, but I know to comply or risk losing my life. I mean, I get I don't trust law enforcement either. That was the main reason people say, well, why didn't you support Trump? Well, he was talking about giving police immunity. I mean, that's my main reason for going against, Trump on a lot of shit. But at the same time, I still want to go home safe and sound. Just like I said, even when it comes to some robber, I don't trust the guy, but I know if I don't comply, what's likely to happen.
Well, I mean, and I mean, most people do comply. And I agree with you 100%. You should comply unless, they're already threatening your life in some way, I guess, because then what else do you do? But,
right.
yeah, man, I just think I don't know. I just think there's something needs to be done to repair the relationship between minorities and police.
What do you think could be done? Because you're correct. The relationship is obviously based on historical context. I mean, in America, during the Jim Crow era and all of that shit, the police were the primary enforcers of all of that oppression and mistreatment of black people. If I moved on your block and you didn't want me there, you usually use the police to do your dirty work. So obviously I might have beef with the cops, because if I'm at the park with my son and you don't want me at the park because you don't want to use the same monkey bars or slide that my kid did because you think my kid got some kind of disease or whatever, you usually use the police to enforce your stereotype. So yeah, we're going to have an police, but how do you repair it?
I don't know. That's a tough question. I don't think anyone really has the answer for that. I could say out of ignorance, get rid of all the old heads on the police force and police chiefs and DOJ and all that stupid shit. So, other than that, I don't know, man. All I know is I can see through their eyes. I can see where someone is coming from when they've been treated badly by a group for such a long time.
It's interesting you would say that, because in the comments on YouTube, Kalia says, this guy isn't black. This guy is not a black American. Why is he speaking for us? So, and I'm going to agree with what you're saying. And I think the problem is that some folks, some African Americans do not realize every white person is not in favor of the mistreatment. Even during slavery, there were whites that did not favor it. So people, and I'm saying this to the black community, you need to realize when you have an ally. That's what I'm saying. You can't just, you don't want them deeming the entire black race in one stereotypical mindset. So you can't do it to them either. I mean, you have to realize when you do have an ally. And I based on how you're speaking, I would view you as more of an ally than somebody who was in favor of the oppressing.
Yeah, well, and I might not be African American, but a large amount of my friends have been, my entire life. I may not sound like it, but yeah, I've had, like I said, I went to Job Corps. Job Corps is like, I'd say probably 90.
Yeah, it's a lot of
African American.
Yeah, I went there for a few weeks, and I think I might have seen one or two. Yeah, it's overwhelmingly black.
Yeah, and I'm a bit of a history buff too, so I know all the oppression they've gone through, even before slavery.
So you don't buy into the notion. You don't buy into
stuff that was done.
Yeah, you don't buy into the notion that the party switch didn't happen and all that stuff, and the Confederates are about pride and heritage.
I'm sorry, repeat that.
I said, so you don't buy into the notion that the party switch didn't happen and the Confederate flag is about pride and heritage.
Oh no, the party switch definitely happened. I don't know how you could even deny that.
They deny it every day. Deny it every day.
It's evidence that's not refutable. But whatever, man. No, I don't think too, as I've heard you ask a lot of times why the African American community would support Trump if he's still raised type stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody brought it up a few shows back about a house, you know what?
House Negro, yes.
Yeah. I think that might be taking it a bit far, but I will say that I've been in some of these TikTok lives that are, Blacks for Trump. I was in one yesterday actually, and I had a really good conversation. So it was a Blacks for Trump. The host was obviously African American. We had a good conversation. We were gaining some middle ground, and then he asked me to follow him, and he followed me back, so I did. And he sent me a video in my DMs. Keep in mind, this guy's African American. He sent me a video in my DMs of white MAGA riding a black man, calling him a tractor. And he's MAGA. And that's what I'm saying. There is self-hatred within each race too. Hispanics too. There are Hispanics over here that think of other Hispanics as nothing but people that come over here and take advantage of us. It's the same thing.
Wow. He sent that to you? God damn.
And that's one thing that I don't get more than anything is it a mental health issue? Is it Is it trying to fit in with the majority group? I don't. That's a question I have.
Well, I could answer that. I think was it Gangsta Grandma or one of my other callers talked about no matter what you do, you cannot be white. You're not white, no matter how close you get to them or what. I think the thing is, okay, you live in a country where seemingly white people have most of the advantages in terms of wealth, in terms of power. I mean, in fact, look, while we're striving towards equality, it's still a country where most of the money and wealth is concentrated in the white community. So a lot of folks just simply believe that if I sympathize and work with them, I'm more likely to be treated and enjoy the benefits that they're having. A lot of folks do believe that. Like what you said, if I look down upon the same people they're looking down upon, maybe they'll give me an inside. Maybe they'll treat me and let me enjoy the fruits of life the way they are. Some people, as you called it, self-hate. I mean, that's always been that way.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, one thing people need to realize too is it hasn't been that long since segregation. There's still feelings there.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, there are people that are still alive from that time.
Oh, definitely.
So you know what I mean? So there hasn't even been enough time to heal. So it's completely understandable that the African American community would feel that way towards authority.
Yeah. Well,
I think some of them think that they can get away with being. I don't want to say this actually because it sounds bad. Go ahead, Tim.
No, I want to know what you're about to say. Something they can get away with what?
They think that they can get away with being their race if they kiss the white man's ass.
Yeah, and for a time you can. If you let's say for instance we have like a civil conflict or something like that, and it turns into some kind of race conflict, race against. For a time, if you're an African American and you're willing to sell out your community in favor of, let's say for instance you give them intelligence, or where white people, let's say there's a race conflict and you're giving the white community intelligence about where they're holding meetings or where they're stashing weapons and things like that. For a time, they are going to treat you really good. But once they conquer that community, then you're going to start probably being treated just like the people they just conquered. But for a time, acting as a Benedict Arnold, you are going to be treated better.
Yeah, you might not be plowing the fields, but you'll be folding the laundry, something like that.
Damn.
So.
Something like that.
Just like Django, Stephen.
Yeah. Exactly like that.
There are people like that in real life. So.
I mean, I would even give you the likes of Nikki Haley, Vivek Ramaswamy, the likes of Tim Scott, and some of these folks. As long as they're siding with Trump and agreeing with MAGA and the Republicans, they get treated in high regard. But the minute they try to run for the top spot, they get treated like shit. Suddenly, Nikki Haley became a bird brain. Suddenly, Vivek Ramaswamy was told, you need to go back to India. But it was fine when they were cooperating and working with him. But the minute you try to start striving for the top spot or equality, the treatment suddenly falls off. So that's what I'm saying. For a time, if you work with them, you can be treated well. But you got to know where your lane is. I'll give you the last word, Captain. I do got to move it on.
Yeah, all I got to say is John Stewart, 2028.
He spoke out, Jon Stewart spoke out heavily in regards to what's happening to Stephen Colbert. So maybe he'll get upset.
Yeah, and it's tough because I feel like they're all going to end up losing their shows. We're in a weird time, man. The political, yeah.
I hold a...
Complain the most about censorship.
Yeah.
Is now wanting to get rid of anyone that doesn't slightly disagrees with, basically.
He even canceled canceled the Wall Street Journal because that article they released saying he sent letters to Epstein. They now are no longer allowed in the press conferences. So even in my tiny ass corner of social media with the few people that follow me, I have thought about that. There could be a day where I'm not allowed to do this anymore. Because I do believe that is Trump's goal, is to silence the critics. I mean, because when he got rid of Stephen Colbert, he posted a truth message where he was celebrating the firing of Colbert, but he praised Greg Gutfeld of Fox News. Now, Greg Gutfeld does the same thing Stephen Colbert does. He just does it for the right. So clearly Trump is okay with political satire on late night TV. He just wants it to be in favor of him. So, but I agree with what you're saying there.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's all I got for you, Tim.
All right, Captain.
Your next guest.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming through. All right, moving on with the program. I absolutely see the likelihood of Trump slowly but surely going after folks that are on TV, on social media, and things like that are critical of him. I could absolutely see that. I mean, obviously him threatening to take Rosie O'Donnell's citizenship because she's all over the internet talking negatively about him. Yeah, I could see that happening. I could really see that happening. No, and it doesn't have to be going after each individual peon like yours truly that is out there. No, what you do is you threaten TikTok. You threaten TikTok. If you let these people remain out here, start canceling contracts and doing shit to you. You threaten the app. That's what happened with Stephen Colbert. He didn't go after Colbert. He went after Paramount and ByteDance, the two companies that run the show. And for their own survival, they bent to his will. Same thing with the law firms and things like that. He went after law firms that defended Hillary Clinton and people like that. He didn't go after Hillary Clinton, after the law firms, and he told them, either you bend to my will, or I'm going to remove your federal clearance. So that these lawyers that deal with federal cases to defend their clients and things like that, you don't have access to any federal buildings. So you can't even you don't even have the right to walk into a federal courthouse anymore. So how can you be a lawyer? So it would literally be canceling out your profession. So they had to settle with him for millions of dollars to make his threats go away. I could absolutely see, slowly but surely, more and more media outlets and content creators that are speaking ill of Trump disappearing. I could really see that. And like I said, it just simply starts by going after the platforms you're on. Go after TikTok, go after YouTube. I mean, just go after Google, go after the places they're on and start threatening them. And then they can slowly but surely start putting all kinds of words that we can't use and censoring it to the point where it just doesn't have any way. There's no way around it. I mean, a lot of you folks that use social media already are starting to see heavy censorship. You say something and they're taking down your video or your FYP. Only 10 people got to see it for some strange reason. They're already doing it. They were doing it before Trump. But I can see Trump personally interfering to make sure they do it even more. Real quick in the comments, you who said that if you can't stand the heat, get out the kitchen, huh? Laws that only apply to people that have caused loss and injury. Ham gets the, okay, you guys are speaking amongst each other apparently, because I don't know what that means in regards to this show. Going to the next caller though, I'm trying to, listen, I do believe in the notion of complying with law enforcement. I just don't think it's a smart idea not to, even if I think the stop is bullshit. And I've been involved in some bullshit stops. I had a guy stop me going 70 miles on the highway in the middle of the night. He was parked in the island. You know, we got a 2-lane highway, you know, or 4-lane highway rather. 2 going this way, 2 lanes going this way, in a grassy patch in the middle. It's pitch black outside. We're in the state of Michigan. I'm doing 70 miles down the highway. I see the cops. My lights reflect off of the side of his car as I shoot by at 70 miles an hour. That motherfucker caught up with me 5 miles down the road and said he thought I didn't have my seatbelt on and asked to search my car. So I know it can happen when you can get stopped for a fishing expedition. I had out-of-state plates, Illinois plates. The dude saw Illinois plates and decided to go on a fishing expedition. And when he got to my car, I'm strapped in. He said, oh, for a minute, I thought you didn't have your seatbelt on. But do you mind if I see your license and registration? Gave him that. It came back clear. And then he asked, do you mind if I search your vehicle? It was a complete bullshit. But what are you going to do? It's 11 o'clock at night. You're on the side of the highway. What are you going to do? So that's what I'm talking about. Top Dog, good evening. Welcome to the program.
Evening, Tim. How you doing?
I'm doing good. What am I getting wrong on this? The notion that when I say there's safety and compliance, I'm getting hammered by folks who are saying I'm bowing down to law enforcement, kissing their ass. What am I getting wrong here?
I believe you're just trying to help save a life.
Right. That is the goal.
Yeah, it's basically, I get what I get that. My thing is, I think you had a question about what can we do to, have a better relationship with law enforcement or whatever. I think holding them accountable will help heal the relationship. Holding them, accountable to the same law that we are held accountable for, as a citizen. Because I get angry when cops get off.
Yeah. Did you hear about what happened to the guy who was involved in the Breonna Taylor case yesterday? What he got?
Yes, I saw that.
33 months?
Right. and it had to been the other way around, that guy would have been doing life.
Yeah, right, exactly, right. 33
so
months.
That's the way I see it. Yes, sir. That's the way I see it. If you
I don't disagree with the notion of accountability. Here's the way I think the best way to hold police accountable. I've said it before in the program. I think it's just like a doctor or a truck driver with their CDL license. I think that as a condition of wearing a badge, you should have to have malpractice insurance where you pay the premiums. If a truck driver can pay their own insurance premiums, independent truck driver or doctor or a nurse or somebody in the medical field, if they can pay their own premiums, so can a cop. And if you do not have that insurance, you can't be a truck driver. You can't take loads. If you don't have, you can't be a doctor. You got to have malpractice insurance because the insurance like to pay out bullshit claims. So if you're a truck driver, for instance, even if you're just getting warnings, the insurance company is not going to keep fucking with you. If the cops are pulling you over, they're not giving you the ticket, they just gave you a warning. If they find out you're getting warnings, your premiums are going to go up, and after a while, they're going to start threatening not to continue insuring you because you're a liability. The problem with the police, because they don't have to have insurance, is they can get all of these cases of alleged brutality or this person filed a claim, which makes it clear this person is a liability. Like Derek Chauvin, the guy who was dealing with George Floyd. He had well over a dozen claims. Like eventually you have to realize if this guy is allowed to stay on the force, he's going to really hurt somebody one day. But because there's no insurance company out there, he stays on the force and eventually it happens.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. So that's the best way to hold them accountable is to hit somebody in the pocketbook.
Yeah, we need to get that fixed, man. We just can't get someone in office and just be one-sided.
Yeah.
Because we're as citizens, we're paying for actually paying for the police's salary.
Yeah.
You got what I'm saying? So we're paying them to kill us. You kind of look at it that way too. It's just crazy, man.
But also in addition too is that there is this belief or this mindset by a large portion of this country that when a black person, Hispanics, but predominantly black people, when blacks say the cops did something wrong to them, there's this large belief that the black person is making it up. That's a problem too, is that as an African American, the minute you say the cops mistreated you or something like that, there's a large portion of America that's going to say you making that shit up.
Right, but it's a small percentage of the population that's. You know what I mean?
I don't know about a small. You think it's a small percentage?
I'm just saying a small percentage. Just saying that the police, are harassing them, or you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Put it this way, Tim. If just look at it this way. If my name is Tim too, by the way.
Good name.
Great name, yes sir. If those officers, if that was an old white T lady sitting in the car, do you think they would have done that?
Oh my God! We gonna do you gonna punch Betty White in the face?
Right. You see the point I'm making?
Yeah. It would be a big difference. You punch an old lady in the face like that, yeah, there would be no excuse. Even if she was completely, completely not compliant, yeah, you can't hit her in the face like that. No, that would not be tolerated.
So let's point I'm trying to make. And then also I want to make one more point, Tim, and I'm gonna let you go. Isn't it whenever you get pulled over, if the cops ask you to get out of the car, isn't that giving up your right? Even if you haven't done anything, wrong. Actually, a citation like that, that's very small. But isn't it when you get out of the car, that's what we're taught, that if you get out of the car, then you are giving up your right. They can do anything to you then. Is that correct?
No, I don't think that's correct. I mean, if they ask you to step out of the vehicle, I mean, like sometimes, let's say you get pulled over on the side of the highway and the cop asks you, could you get out for for safety's sake? I don't want to stand here while traffic is whizzing by. Could you get out so I can talk to you and hear you clearer? I don't think you're giving up any rights by doing that. The problem, though, is you give them more of you to look at. So let's say you were smoking a joint or something in an area where it's illegal to smoke weed, and you got weed on you, like little flakes and shit like that, by getting out, just like when you let them in your home. They may just want to come in your home to talk to you about something else that's going on in the neighborhood. Well, once you let them in, anything they see, they can act on it. So by getting out of the car or exposing the more of you expose to them, the greater the opportunity of them seeing something. So, but you're not giving up rights, but there's no defense attorney that's going to say you should expose yourself to the police.
Right. Okay. I just wanted to ask you that, man. But good show, man, and just keep up the good work. And I like old gangster grandma. She kind of gave it to you, man.
She gave it to me. Listen, we could be talking about the weather and she would give it to me. I mean, I don't know.
That was very entertaining.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for letting me know.
Thank you for coming through. Yeah, when it comes to gangster grandma, I kind of feel like Jesus on the fucking cross. I'm literally getting pounded for your entertainment. But yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I do believe that it's exactly what my last caller said. You're saving lives. I'm not here speaking on this from a standpoint of defending your constitutional rights. I'm actually telling you to assume that the guy that's pulling you over may mean you harm. I'm just telling you, to me, I look at it like this. There is very little difference between the guy that's robbing a liquor store next to you and the guy that's wearing a badge. They both got a gun on. If they tell you to do something, you don't do it. The guy robbing a liquor store and the guy with the badge on is likely to hurt you. I've said this from day one. Treat the cops the same way you would treat somebody walking into a business you're in and announcing it's a robbery. Treat them the same way. If you don't respond in kind to that guy who announced the robbery, he's likely to hurt you. The cops are the same way. Now, I know listen, I get the point. The cops shouldn't be that way. I understand that. But I'm just simply saying this is a matter of going to your family safely. Now, this argument held no weight at all. I use it in regards to Ashley Babbitt. My beloved MAGA didn't like it, but I said the same thing even with Ashley Babbitt. If somebody's aiming a firearm at you, whether it's a cop or somebody robbing a liquor store, and you ignore the instructions they're yelling at you, you increase the likelihood of getting shot. They didn't like it when it was Ashley Babbitt. But for somebody like the guy we're talking about now, they can kind of understand it. But I'm just simply saying you got to treat them the way you would treat anybody else with a firearm. They're not your friends. When they're pulling you over on the side of the road or doing a traffic stop, that guy is not your friend. He's not going to give you a cookie. He's not going to, invite you to the game. That guy is not your friend, and he's armed. Like I said, you gotta treat him as if he could possibly be hostile. You don't know what he's going through. You don't know he's pissed off at his wife or something like that. You just don't know. I get that it sounds like I'm being very submissive. I'm talking about going home to your family. I'm not talking about defending your constitutional rights on the side of the highway. I'm talking about preventing you from ending up dead. Tim Nassam in the comments, thank you for the super chat. Apologize for being late to respond, but he said, Tim, Trump crushes his own party like others have not in the past. 100% agree with that. I miss Republicans like Trey Gowdy. In my opinion, Trump is not a real Republican. Defying him is ending your career. Yeah, he's almost like the cops I'm talking about. He's almost very similar to the police. Whereas if you don't comply, he's going to escalate and try to take you out. Yeah, there's a whole lot of I want to say comparisons between Trump and this discussion we're having on police. Yeah, if you do not comply and bend to the will of Trump, he is going to escalate the situation. Now, he's obviously not going to beat your ass, but he's going to do what he can to end you. So, yeah, I totally agree with that. Something else I wanted to say in regards to your comment there, Tim. A lot of Tim's on this. You said he crushes his party like others have not in the past. Yeah, I don't know any political candidate in this country in our lifetime that has tried to crush so many of his critics like Trump. And we're talking about critics on both sides, on all sides of the aisle. Doesn't matter if you are a Democrat or you're a lifelong Republican. If you criticize Trump, he's coming after you. You could be a high school kid that don't vote at all. If you got enough followers and you're getting enough attention, he's gonna come after you too. I don't know any politician that has done that in my lifetime. I'm assuming maybe it happened, back in the George Washington days or some shit like that, but I don't know any politician that has been like that. And I totally agree that Trump is not a typical Republican. To me, he's very similar to Bernie Sanders from that aspect, whereas both Trump and Bernie Sanders have a lot in common from a standpoint of neither one of them actually were members of the party they tried to represent. Bernie Sanders ran as a Democrat, Trump ran as a Republican. The only difference stopped Bernie Sanders from reaching the pinnacle of success. The Republicans were not able to stop Trump. And both parties realized that if this person reaches the top of our party, they're going to fundamentally change what we stand for. Trump reached success in the Republican Party. He has turned it into the MAGA party. The party don't stand for what it used to. Now, like for instance, with Trump talking about changing the Redskins name back and shit like that, that's not small government. Trump is not acting on a standpoint of small government, which is what the Republican Party normally stands for. He's not acting on a standpoint of fiscal responsibility, which is what the Republican Party stands for. He's not very Christian. He's not a Republican, a traditional Republican. He's a populist. And Bernie Sanders obviously was a socialist. He was not a Democrat. And you can see the similarities in these two men by the fact that the traditional leaders of the parties did not like them. Bernie Sanders had a hell of a lot of problems with the likes of Hillary Clinton and Nancy Pelosi, the people that were leading the party at the time. They weren't big fans. They still aren't big fans of Bernie Sanders. And of course, Trump has had resistance from every living and deceased Republican leader that we know of, from the Bushes to the McCains to the Romneys, all the former leaders of the party. Trump has had problems with all of them. None of them, he don't like any of them, and none of them like him. So the Democrats were able to stop Bernie Sanders. The Republicans did not stop Trump, and he probably has changed the way the Republican Party orbits. Could be for the rest of our lives. It's going to be a while before they get back to what the tradition, if ever. It's going to be a while before they get back to what the way they used to operate. He's completely changed that. Republicans and Democrats are the same economically. You think so, Nick? We'd have to tackle that in detail. I don't know about that. We'd have to really go into that. I want to make sure I didn't miss somebody's super chat over here on TikTok. On YouTube. Real quick in the comments here, came from, guess what? The Dems were doing the same censorship to the right. No. Guess what? Appreciate the super chat. No. I don't think there's any politician that is put out as much censorship as Trump. It ain't the same. You look at Obama, you look at Bill Clinton or Joe Biden, none of them were talking about censoring people and actually acting on it the way Trump is. Canceling talk show hosts and going at the universities that lean left. There's nothing coming from the left that is that strong. Nothing. I'm not saying the left is not capable of censorship, but Trump is taking that to a whole new level. I don't think it's anywhere near the same. And if you think I'm getting it wrong, give me some examples of a president on the left that has done as much as Trump has. I don't think the censorship coming from Trump is in the same universe as anything the left has done. Colbert is a $40 million a year money pit. Here's a problem with that, though. Stephen Colbert was winning his time slot. Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, I think Conan O'Brien is in that same time. He was winning that time slot. Now, if the amount of money he was getting paid was more than the program was profiting, there's all sorts of things that could be done as opposed to just canceling the whole show. First of all, you could get rid of Stephen Colbert and put another person in there. They got rid of the whole Late Show. So you could have gotten rid of Colbert and put in, what is the guy who used to host after Jon Stewart? He's a South African black guy. What is the guy's name? He hosted the Daily Show after Jon Stewart left. You could have put him in there. He would have been a lot cheaper than Stephen Colbert. I cannot think of his name. Somebody let me know what his name is. You could have put him in there or some other comedian. That's the first thing you could have did. You could have gave Colbert the chance to reduce his staff and save money. I mean, you could ask Colbert, Trevor Noah. Yeah, you could have put him in there. He would have been a lot cheaper than Stephen Colbert to cut back on the $40 million. So you could have done that. You could have asked Stephen Colbert to lay off some of his force and consolidate so that the payroll is cheaper. You could have done that. You could ask Stephen Colbert to perhaps take a pay cut. Who knows? Maybe he would have done it, maybe not. They didn't even try anything. They just fired the dude. So, no, I don't think it was a money play. I think it was Trump stepped in and said, this deal that Paramount wants with ByteDance, the only way it's going through is you got a personality that I got a lot of problems with. I need him to disappear. And then we can sit down and talk about the deal. But as long as you got this guy on the air ragging me day in and day out, how the hell do I look agreeing to let you guys merge? You take care of this problem, and I'll see what I can do on that deal. That's how that window. Trump is operating like a mob boss. He is operating like a mob boss in there. Same thing with this whole Washington Commanders versus Redskins. I mean, it's up to him to approve whether the Washington Commanders can get a new stadium in D.C. And this whole name change thing ain't sitting well with me. I know you guys are looking at this bigger stadium, but at the end of the day, it's up to me to approve it. And I don't really favor having the Commanders move in this new stadium. I kind of like the name Redskins. What do you think? This is how he's running this shit. People are caving to it. People are caving to it. So you talking about the liberals have been more censorship involved than the Republicans? No. Trump is way higher than that. Let me go back to the box. He's literally running it like a mob boss. You walk into a piece of shop, you're doing really good business in here. 10% profits go to me. I would hate for something to happen to your shop. How about purchasing a little bit of security? 10% of your profits kick back to me. I'll make sure nothing happens. That's what he's doing. He's doing stuff like that. Miss Mo Betta, good evening. Welcome to the program. Hey, what am I getting wrong on this? Am I caving to bad cops? That's what they're saying. That's what they're telling me.
And I was watching, you have to excuse my voice. I was watching, what's his name? Roland Martin earlier. Yeah. And he had the guy on there, how he said that that's the worst police department in the country. Now, he did, I might be misquoting, but he said they are the worst in Florida. Mm.
Now, Jacksonville as well.
They said they've had more police, more things with internal affairs than any other police department.
Wow.
The police, what they did was really extreme. They were really ego tripping. They were ego tripping. Even if he didn't comply, all right, you already broke the window, open the door and get him out the car. You punched him. Not once. You didn't punch him just once.
Yeah, they beat him up on the ground too.
Punched him multiple. They punched him multiple times. And what they were pulling him over for was nothing more than a violation. Yeah. There's violations, and then there's charges. That wasn't no charge. All they had to do was say, "Well, sir, could you turn your lights on? It's raining." All right.
Well, but it sounds like he did have other issues. He didn't have a valid license. I mean, he had other issues that give them the right to actually get him out of the car. I mean, if they pull you over, you ain't got a license. Now they have the right to take your whole damn car.
That's true. No, they have only if the car is not insured. If the car is not insured, if it's not registered, they cannot take your car. They will leave it on the side of the road, and you'll have to have somebody come pick it up.
I'm just gonna hold on. I'm just gonna say.
I'm telling you what I know and not what I heard.
I'm just gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you. Good luck with that. If you're driving without a license and the police pull you over.
Yes, they can arrest you, but they cannot impound the car. If there's no safety hazards and if the car has insurance, they will leave the car on the side of the road and you'll have to have somebody come retrieve the car.
I don't know about that one. I don't know about that.
Again, I'm telling you from experience, Tim. I'm telling you. Well, maybe, I don't know. Maybe down there they have different laws. It could be possible.
Let me say it this way. Let me hold on. Let me say it this way. If they pull you over and you do not have a license and they make you leave the car and they tow it, I don't think they're going to get in any trouble. Put it that way. You're saying that they don't have a right to do it.
No, I can understand that part too, because we already know. Now they can do what they want to do. They have the immunity. That was a given. Like you said, that was one of the reasons why you didn't want to vote for Tangerine.
But let me ask you this. Now, let me ask you this, because when Gangsta Grandma was on here tearing me up, I'm going to ask you the same question I asked her. If this guy had to comply with everything the police asked him, up to and including getting out of the car and things like that, do you believe they still would have beat him up?
Yeah, they approached him with an attitude. They approached him with like, you know, listen, when you put certain energy out there, just expect to get certain energy back, whether I'm a civilian or an officer. That can go either way.
I don't see it. So they approached him with an attitude, and if he didn't give them, and if he did not,
their whole chest.
Right, but they approached him. They approached him when I've had cops approach me with an attitude. I know what that's like. But you're telling me that if they approached him with an attitude, and even if he gave them no attitude back, gave them nothing but compliance back, they were still going to punch him.
They was gonna jack his ass up either way, because they didn't feel like having to pull them over. So they feel that their whole demeanor said, because you made me do something that I didn't feel like doing right now, I'm gonna make your ass pay for it. That's what I saw in that video.
I gotta rewind it. I didn't see all of that. I didn't. Okay, give me your explanation. Why are you saying that they pulled them over with an attitude? What did they do?
Again, the way, and he asked, why am I being pulled over? Why wouldn't?
What if he did not ask that?
What do you mean? What if he didn't ask?
When I get pulled over, I don't say shit. I let them ask the first question. I mean, I let them make the first statement. I don't say nothing. I just put my hands on 10 and 2 and let them.
See, the thing is, Tim, with that, you're not dealing with the same type of people in all areas. All police officers are not going to act the same in different states, in different towns, in different cities. You have some people that, again, wear their badge on their forehead, not their chest. Like, listen, I am in position where I can do what I want to do. I don't give a fuck how you respond. That's the whole energy that they gave off today. Like I said, when he asked why am I being pulled over, and they broke the window, he told him that his window did not roll down. His window was
but by the time I'm not.
No, I get it. That was after the fact. He had the door open. The door was open. So it's a couple of videos that you have to go look.
Well, but let's be clear. He was not compliant. You do agree with that, right? He was not
compliant, but he was not a threat, Tim.
No.
It wasn't. He was not being aggressive to the point to where they had to break his window and punch him in his face.
No,
it was straight ego.
No, I agree 100% that he was no threat and they didn't have to punch him in the face.
He asked them to call their supervisor. He said, "Can you call your supervisor, please? Yeah. Can you call your supervisor more than one time? Did you call the supervisor? Maybe not. I didn't hear them calling the supervisor.
No, they didn't. Yeah, they didn't call it. They didn't call the supervisor at all. But I'm under the impression if they pull you over and you actually got a violation like having no driver's license, you don't get to demand that they call the supervisor before you get out of the car. I mean, if they got you dead to rights on something like that.
No, I understand that part about the no license. Yeah, you're gonna lock you up. That's an actual charge. Driving without a license is the law. But as far as the lights and all of that stuff go, those were mere violations.
But here's what I don't understand, and this is what, like, back when back in my younger days, when I knew folks that was pulling capers and shit like that. One of the things that I always came across, if you're gonna be moving product or doing something, you rent a car or you driving your own car, make sure everything is copacetic. You don't have any dimmed headlights, nothing that's gonna, balding tires, nothing that's gonna attract them to you. If you driving without a license, you should be the kindest motherfucker they can get their hands on. Why would you be hostile, even at a mild level, when you clearly have something wrong?
Maybe he was a Moor. Do you know how Moors operate?
No, I don't. What are you talking about?
Maybe he was a Moor. There are Moors. I want you to look that up because Moors operate. They don't need none of that to operate a motor vehicle. So you have to pay attention to the language. To languages, and one word can change an entire conversation.
You think? What the hell?
Yeah.
No.
I don't need a license to travel.
He would have said that the minute they pulled him over.
Sovereign citizenship. But it's a thing.
Then he would have said that the minute they pulled him over. He wasn't.
That would not have changed their attitude. No, it would. And it would have probably made them even more mad.
Yeah, but I'm
It
just.
probably would have made them even more mad. Again, I don't see the justification in the violence that they did.
No.
With the boy, the young man would have, if he would have complied, could that happen? Absolutely. But what we saw was unjust.
No, I don't agree with what the officers did to him. But the point I'm just simply making is, if you know you ain't got a license, you should not be putting up. And I see somebody in the car. Yeah. Well, yeah, that. Right. Now,
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
But what I want you to go watch, Tim. Go watch. I implore you to go watch is God and Country. It's on Tubi TV. It's free. God and Country. God and Country. And it says, what would Jesus do? I thought about, as soon as I started watching, I thought about it.
Jesus would avoid this fucking country like the plague. I'll tell you that.
It's not going to still happen. I mean, the way that these people are running and stuff like that, and that movie right there puts a lot of clarity on how this country is running and who is actually behind all of it. The white Christian nationalists. You wait till you watch it. Your eyes gonna be doing that the whole movie. Like, whoa, well, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm interested.
Yeah.
I'm biting.
Yeah,
I'm interested.
Go watch it. I just watched it today. I was like, let me see what this is about. It's a recent movie. It just came out. It's on Tubi, so it's free. You ain't gotta pay. I don't know what kind of streaming services you have, but it's free on here. And it puts a lot of clarity how you think.
But you think the white supremacists or white nationalists or whatever you refer to, you think they're running the country right now?
It absolutely is.
Then how do you
how they got the government set up now? It's strictly for white men.
But how do you respond while you're saying the government is set up strictly for white men? How do you respond to the fact that most of the top 10 cities are ran by black men?
Are they on the federal level?
No, but they control.
That's because the people where they live got them in. There's a select few people that see for where they are, but when it comes to going higher than that, it ain't. You can count the number on your hands that are black men. On one hand.
Yeah, but a lot of that is solely since Trump got in office. I mean, during Biden's time, there were plenty of African Americans serving in federal government.
How many?
I don't know, but you're talking about FBI agents. You're talking about folks that work in some of these offices that Trump has fired everybody in.
And again, that goes back to my point. Where are they now? Most of them are fired. Didn't they get rid of the whole FBI?
Yeah, but he fired a whole lot of white people too, though.
Yeah, I get it, because sometimes people gotta suffer so they can't call you out on what you really are, which is being racist. Even if he's not racist, he has to ponder to them because they're his biggest donors. They're his biggest supporters. So even if he is not racist, I have to ponder to them. Look how he got up there and said, well, oh, you Christians, I love you Christians. I'm not a Christian, but I love you Christians. You don't have to vote. You won't have to vote just this time. I don't care how you do, you gotta get out and vote just this time, but you'll never have to do it again. Listen.
He did say that.
You don't have to intend something to achieve it. I'm going to say that again. You do not have to intend something for you to achieve it. So what's happening is he may not have racist tendencies, but he sure has racist actions. Look how he's saying, "Oh, I want to," and I know they over on YouTube going in. And
Because Drake. hold on. Yeah, because Draco just said, "Tell her to shut up and learn how to make a decent sandwich." So yeah, they're going crazy on YouTube.
No, tell your raggedy ass sister wife to do that shit for you. Your cousin that you've been humping all the time. Tell that hoe to go ahead and make you a sandwich. The fuck out of here. Y'all got enough free shit from my black ass already. We're good.
You are more of like a kinder gangster grandma because you don't attack me. So you're a kinder version of a gangster.
Listen, I'm not going to attack them either. Just because I tell the truth on some things doesn't mean I'm attacking you.
Yeah.
And see, that's the major problem about not having CRT and not teaching, making up words and demonize them like woke and different things like that. I'm not attacking you. I'm just exposing to the things that they've been hiding from your ass too. They hide shit from their own people too because they want to make it seem like I got what I had from the sweat of my brow.
That is
okay. All right. So you keep peeling. When you cut an onion and peel it, you know how many layers is under that skin?
Yeah.
Every time, under every piece of onion, there's a layer that you cannot see. But that's exactly who I am when I come to this stuff. I want you to be informed and enlightened just like me. Because in order for a lie to die, you gotta bring out the truth. And we've been living a whole lie in this country. Period.
All right, Ms. Mobetta, I see a hell of a lot of the audience agrees, but you know how my YouTube folks are.
Of course. Listen, tell them to upgrade and come over here to TikTok, get on live so we can do this too. You know what I'm saying? We could do it. Like, listen.
Fair enough. I'm about to call you Gangsta Greg.
I want to say hi to my boo, Mike. I've been on vacation all week, but I'm fully charged now.
Appreciate you. Good to have you back. Thank you, Miss Mobetta. Thank you. All right, moving on with the program. Miss Mobetta, nobody does it better. Tap the screen. Get your boy on up to, wow, you got a lot of lazy thumbs in here. What the hell's up with the likes? Show your boy some love. Click the like if you enjoy this type of dialogue. As I always say, regardless of what you hear, regardless of who comes up, we always will remain MAGA friendly. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome on the program. Been giving this spiel for about 5 years now, but we are a MAGA friendly program. We do allow everybody to come up. As we always say, we go left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having dinner with Q. This is an uncensored program. You're going to hear opinions from all sides of the aisle. If you enjoy that, show your boy some love. Follow the program if you're watching on TikTok or Clapper as we speak. If you're watching on YouTube, how about a sub? We're here generally most weekdays. CRT is not taught in schools and many don't know what it is. That's why they're afraid, says, yeah, I've never heard of CRT. Look, I don't know what's, just like about transgender shit is being shoved down kids' throats in schools and stuff, or that students are in school with litter boxes identifying as cats and shit. I don't know anywhere that stuff is happening. I don't know anywhere where that stuff is happening. I think some of this stuff is just talking points. What does MAGA friendly mean as it relates to your channel? Dion, and you'll always see the MAGA hat, even when we do shows on the road. What MAGA friendly means, and that's a good question. I strongly believe that conservatives, Republicans, and particularly MAGA, do not often get a fair shake in the media. It's changing a little bit with Trump, but I do believe most of the media tends to lean left or or are at least a little bit more friendly to the left. And that was before Trump. It's certainly happening under Trump because Trump is so hostile to the media. But even before Trump, I think the media was more favorable to the left. So when I say MAGA friendly, I mean you can come on this program and you can speak your case even if everybody disagrees with you. We're not going to censor you. We're not going to block you. We're not going to ban you. We're not going to limit your time. You don't have to be critical. You know, you don't have to be worried about somebody trying to prevent or dictate how you should think. We're MAGA friendly. You're going to be allowed to speak your case here, and you'll get plenty of time to do it. That's what we mean when we say MAGA friendly. You can have an opposing opinion, and it doesn't matter what it is. You're going to be allowed to say it. Anyway, look at it in the comments, though. Miss Mo Nothing, damn Lisa. Miss Mo Nothing should not be given such a big platform to run. Wait, let me read that again. Miss Mo Nothing, a play on her name. Her name is Miss Mo Better, but Lisa says Miss Mo Nothing should not be given such a big platform to run her mislead and discriminatory mouth off. Well, when we say an uncensored program, let me make it clear. We've covered the 2020 election. We've covered Haitian migrants eating cats and dogs, all this shit. Understand, the right uses the platform to say stuff that hasn't been proven true also. So understand, it's not going to be a platform where the left has to always be speaking things that have been proven to be true, but the right can say whatever they kind of feel. Because there's no evidence that Trump won the election by a landslide, and we let folks speak on that all the time. We're almost 5 years out now. Come January, come November rather, it'll be 5 years since that election took place. Trump is still going around saying he won that election by a landslide. He ain't proved that. He ain't proved that at all. We let you speak about that. So you're going to hear some stuff like that. But that's how free speech works. Both sides get to state their case. It ain't where the left got to be accurate and the right can say whatever. No, or vice versa. We don't do that. Shout out to Mike Pence. Really? T-Rex Pence. Mike Pence kind of just disappeared. Yes, sir. Both sides lie and say stuff that they don't know. Yeah, agree with you 100%, Lisa. Including the president. I mean, right now he's blaming Obama and Clinton for all kinds of shit. Is it true? He hasn't proved it. Continuing on with the program, though. Mike, I saw you holding on there. Good evening, Mike. Welcome to the show. Mike, I'm going to start out by playing something I want you to hear. And it's obviously in line with what we're talking about. I want to get your opinion on this. So it's a quick clip.
Let's talk about George Floyd. You said George Floyd's death was a terrible thing.
Terrible.
Why are African Americans still dying at the hands of law enforcement in this country?
And so are white people. What a terrible question to ask. So are white people. More white people, by the way. More white people.
So is the African American community really just exaggerating shit when it's really happening to white people to a higher degree?
Of course not. Hey, tap the screen, share the live. Man, listen, we should have been up to 50,000 a long time ago.
Thank you. Holla at your boy.
We got to get up to 50K. No, the funny thing is he never answered the question. He went to so are white people, which tells you that he's right in the middle of deflecting. Because here's the thing: have you ever seen white people protesting police brutality against white people ever?
Yeah, once, and guess who came to their rescue? This was over in the northwest corner of Arkansas. Al Sharpton went out there. There was a white kid. I believe he was killed, and the family ended up getting Al Sharpton and Black Lives Matter behind the case over in Arkansas. So once I've seen it, only once.
I've never heard of that case.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find it. Yeah, keep going.
Point is, right? If it happens, more, I'm just typing it in so I can research it later. If it happens to the extent that he's saying, they never protested. So what's the reason for it? The reason for it is it doesn't fit the narrative. Because if you tell white people that cops are bad to white people, then it kills your narrative that they're not really that bad to black people.
No. Hold on, before you continue on, I'll just give you the AI version. I typed in Google, Al Sharpton defends white victim of police. In July 2021, Sharpton delivered the eulogy for Hunter Britton, a 17-year-old white teenager who was fatally shot by a sheriff's deputy during a traffic stop in Arkansas. This marked the first time Sharpton's nearly 40-year career advocating for civil rights that he delivered a eulogy for a white victim of police. Ben Crump was in on that too. Ben Crump was out there with them. It says Sharpton, along with civil rights attorney Ben Crump, took on Britton's case, according to CNN. They viewed it as a significant case in the fight for police reform legislation. And then it goes on and talks about what Sharpton did during the eulogy. So his name is Hunter, or his name was Hunter Britton. Yep.
Yep, I got it on my screen.
Yep.
I'll look it up.
So it has happened once.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to look it up because I see that they have some body cam footage out there. So I'm going to look at that body cam footage and see how different it looks from any other case that we've seen where a young African-American man was unalived by police. And I want to see the difference in the footage. Because here's the thing. It's a lose-lose proposition for police officers. Because if it looks the same as we've seen, why aren't those officers being prosecuted? And if it looks different, how come those officers aren't being prosecuted? You understand what I'm saying? At the end of the day, we're not saying this to just to say it. Anybody out there that's listening, before you start calling us racist, if you have white children, tell us in the comments when you've had the conversation about being pulled over by officers. And is it coming from the same place? Well, the reality is that no. So just call it what it is. No. Police brutality is not going to go away. It's actually increasing. It's going to increase because you got sheriffs down in Florida before the protest that was telling us what he was going to do to people when they broke the law. You remember that right before the and then you got Donald Trump saying, he's been saying it for years. We got to stop being so nice. If they spit, we hit. When the looting starts, the shooting starts. He's been saying all these catchphrases.
But let me
the politicians been saying that shit.
Yeah, but let me interject and say this because when we talk about the notion that they're predominantly brutalizing and mistreating black people or people of color in regards to the police, I will say this: there are asshole cops all over this great nation, and there's a lot of neighborhoods that do not even feature African Americans. So there has to be, I'm not necessarily defending Trump, but there has to be, because he's talking about they're killing people, but there has to be some validity to what Trump is saying, because there are plenty of neighborhoods where there are no black people to fuck with, and there's asshole cops everywhere. So what does an asshole cop do when all of his clientele are white? They gotta be messing with some white people too.
Well, I'm not. I didn't say that they weren't. But let me ask you this. First of all, he wouldn't even say, yes, that's a thing. He wouldn't say that. They're doing it to white people too. He wouldn't even acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, let's be clear. That same asshole cop that's in a predominantly white area, if he feels that way, he's not treating white people the way he views black people. He's not doing that. If he has a problem with black people, let's be clear, or brown people.
But now you're assuming that all bad cops are doing it with an element of racism. Sometimes you just might be an asshole. I mean, it might not have nothing to do with racism. Some cops just might be on a power trip.
That's true too. I'm not saying that that's not true, but I'm saying that the element of racism elevates and escalates everything. Because here's the thing. If that officer's racist and he pulls over a white kid, the one element that's not going to come into play is racism. He's not going to do something to that kid because of his race. He's going to do it because he's an asshole.
Yeah, but it could be. But wait, hold on. It could be homophobia. Maybe the white person he pulling over has a black friend and he don't like the fact that you're in it. Well, yeah, but I'm saying there's a lot of things that could still put a white victim in jeopardy.
Yes, but it's only what you just said. If you add those elements of homophobia or a biracial relationship, you're injecting the racism back into what I literally just said. Yeah. If those elements weren't there, the intensity or the outrage or the desire to take these actions isn't there.
I don't disagree. I get that point, but what I'm simply saying is there's plenty of cops that are likely victimizing white people too. Oh, maybe the guy has a jacket that shows he beat a woman once, and the cop don't like women beaters. I mean, it could be a ton of reasons for a white cop to mistreat a white guy for, maybe he went to high school with him and he don't like the fact that the guy was a team captain. I mean, it could be a host of issues.
I get it. He could have a nice car. He's jealous because he's got a nice car and he's working this graveyard shift.
Right.
But again, it's a woman. But my point is this, Tim. If that's what Donald Trump is saying, and when I hear white people bring that up, I'm like, well, show me your fucking outrage then. If that's happening, this is what I've been telling you the whole time. All it does is prove my point. White people, and if it doesn't apply, let it fly, are so intent on racism and bigotry that they won't even talk about the shit that's happening to them to make sure it's happening to us. I literally told you that about the Texas floods. I have never seen a commercial where white people need to really emphasize, if that's what police officers are doing to white people, then you should be standing with us when it happens. You should be marching about it. You should be saying that your white children's lives matter because of the police brutality, but I haven't seen a fucking commercial. I haven't seen anyone protest. I haven't seen anything happen until we get out there, and then they come with us.
Well, let me just start out by saying,
protect our own kids.
But hold on, let me start out by saying you can't stereotype the whole white race because a lot of the Black Lives Matter protests feature white people. I've said this many times.
That.
Okay, well, it sounded like, because I want to make it clear, virtually every town in America that has a population of at least 50,000 people or more has had at least one Black Lives Matter protest. And many of those towns really have little to no diversity in them at all. It's a lot of white people protesting on behalf of Black Lives Matter. I mean,
100%.
Yeah.
I just said that. But again, if this is a problem in their community, to what Donald Trump said, then I have to add, I'm not saying that there's not a portion of white, because white folks, a lot of white folks have always stood with us in solidarity all the way back to the civil rights movement. Yeah. So I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is if he's going to not be willing to say that officers abuse and unalive black folks, and he says they do it to white people too even more, then where's your fucking outrage? Why would you want them to have immunity? Why would you want them to continue to be on these streets ungoverned and unhinged if it's a problem? Because he knows
it's not
they
a
don't
problem.
give a fuck about those. It's right. Well,
Yeah.
Again, I'm not saying it's not happening, Tim. I've been saying this forever. And white people, I've been saying this forever. They're not lying to us. They're lying to you. They've got you thinking that we are the problem, but if you live by us, or if your child comes out and acts a certain way, they don't give a fuck. And if that's what he's saying, then where's your outrage? Instead of pushing back saying Derek Chauvin this, or maybe if they just would have complied that, I thought the same things were happening to y'all. I thought the same shit was happening to you. So how come you don't have that same visceral reaction when that happens? When have you had somebody come on your show that's white that has been outraged by police hurting and unaliving white people?
I've had people come on, but in terms of doing it on the big stage, they don't. They'll come on here and maybe use it as they're not really using it because it outrage with the police. They're using it as a counter, like White Lives Matter. So it's kind of being used as a counter.
Yeah, all lives matter, and police matter, and dogs matter, and alligators matter, and everybody fucking matters except for y'all brown.
Well, right now it appears that Mexicans don't matter, but keep going. You mentioned the alligator, so.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. And none of that matters, but then you turn around and make a statement like that. It's like, what difference does it make? And then when people say it, they say it's awful and he should have complied. Let me tell you something, and this is a fact. Officers that act that way, that's what they do. The fact that they pulled this young man over in the rain because his lights weren't on, I guarantee you, if you go back and look at any of the traffic cameras in that same fucking area, you think he was the only one?
No.
You think he was the only car that was running around there with not having their lights on in the rain? Most officers don't want to even fucking get out the car in the ring.
But I agree with you 100% that it was a profiling stop. But I'm going to ask you the same question I've been asking the other folks. Do you believe that if this guy had complied 100%, they still would have beat him up?
You just answered your own question. You said it was a profiling stop. If you're
I got profiled. Wait, hold on. I've been profiled. I can think of at least 3 traffic stops that were profiling with me, and I complied, and there was nothing that happened. There was no violence at all.
How old were you?
20s?
How old?
20s and 30s. It's been a long time now. I haven't been pulled over probably in 15 years or more, but I was young.
And again, and this goes to my other point. I don't believe all officers are bad, but you were still racially profiled.
Yeah.
So just the idea, even if nothing happened, you got stopped for being black.
That absolutely happened.
You're racially profiled.
Yeah.
I mean, we are so numb to the foundation that we just let the shit go and we argue the nuance.
But I'm asking that question. If you were racially profiled simply for being black, but you applied 100%, do you believe you would still get beat up?
Ask Castile that. Would he get beat up? What the fuck are we talking about? Shit. Listen, Tim, this happened to me. You probably didn't get beat up because the motherfucker probably thought it was going to be a tussle on his hands. So when were you ever little?
Never.
You was probably born with teeth. So that's what I'm saying, man. So I'm saying he probably sized you up and was like, this shit's probably not going to go well. Or maybe he or she wasn't that far down the rabbit, but they still racially profiled you.
I'm going to say, with all of the this is where I disagree with you and some of the other viewers. There's a whole lot of videos out there of cops mistreating people. It ain't many of them that feature somebody who's, Castile is probably one of the very few where the person was doing absolutely nothing wrong and the cop just started beating them up. You don't see very many, and there's a lot of police brutality and beating videos out there, but featuring a black person that was doing nothing wrong at all and the cop just started beating them up, I don't know if I've ever seen one.
Define the nothing, number one. Define the nothing, because hold on, Tim. You're a police officer. Mm-hmm. You have the same way you should, because here's the thing. We don't say this about the medical field. We don't say this about first responders. We don't say this about a doctor. You're supposed to have a certain higher level of responsibility to how you deal with people.
Okay.
The fact that the young man didn't comply, he didn't threaten him, he didn't raise his voice, he didn't do any. Listen, that young man didn't do anything that would justify what the fuck they did.
I'm going back to my original statement, though. A citizen that is complying 100%, other than Orlando Castile, who claim he was reaching for a gun, and I don't believe that. But other than him, somebody who is 100% complying with the cops, not talking shit, not putting a resistance, and they just get their ass beat. I have not seen a single video like that.
It's just not.
But you get what I'm saying. I'm saying that you're not doing anything to escalate the situation, and the cop just beats you up.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that at all. Matter of fact, Tim, I'm going to say it this way. Black people historically can't win for losing when it comes to us trying to protect or protest. We can't. We can't kneel in silence. We can't have a silent protest. We can't kneel. We got to shut up and dribble. There's really nothing. And then if there's no evidence that we did anything, the assumption is we must have done something.
Yeah. I'm not disagreeing with any of that, but I'm just simply saying there's a whole lot of videos out there and none of them features what I just said. Somebody who's not putting up any resistance, not escalating to stop, and the cops treat them like that. There virtually is nothing out there like that.
What are police and you know what? I disagree, but you know me, I like facts, so I'm going to do a search. So next time I see you, I'm going to show your ass.
Yeah, and I'll play it.
But let me say this. Listen to this conversation that we're having. White people don't have this conversation. How this fucking conversation? How many videos have you seen where white folks have got pulled over and berated the police officer?
Yeah.
Have you seen that? And how many drove the fuck off?
Yeah, plenty.
How many? We watched Cops for years. Cops was on for over 20 fucking years.
Yeah.
The show Cops is on for over 20 years. You
It's
tell
still
me how
on.
many times it's still on.
Yeah.
How many times you've seen them berating them for being pulled over because they don't think that shit applies to them.
Well, let me make it clear what I'm saying. So, because some of the viewers, I got somebody said I'm actually defending the white people and all this crazy shit. I'm not saying that bad cops do not exist. I'm not saying that they don't treat blacks worse than other people. I'm not just. What I'm simply saying is, I don't believe that if you're 100% compliant and you're not escalating the situation, I don't believe the cop will still beat you up in 99.9999999% of the time. If the cop pulls you over and he got a chip on his shoulder, but you're friendly, you're not escalating the shit, you're not failing to comply, I don't think they're just going to be violent to you.
Nah, they will. They 100% fucking will. And listen,
Video.
I don't even like to use anecdotal because it's just me. But this shit has happened to me and I never said a fucking word. He walked up, snatched the door open, and slammed it. And the only reason it didn't go further, and he bent over and whispered it in my ear, is his backup officer came. And that motherfucker leaned over and told me, "You're lucky my backup showed up." So I don't want to hear that shit. And I've seen it. I've seen officers do that shit. So, but again, Tim, I'm not saying all officers are bad because my father was in law enforcement. But I also understand that there are officers that assimilate to the environment. The same thing they ask people on the street not to do, they do. They don't tell on each other. They don't uphold the standard once they get out there. And then some get pulled into it that may have never done those things before in their past.
Yeah. Well, the point I'm making, let me make sure for folks who don't, because the comments are going ape shit. People talking about Sandra Bland and everything. I'm not saying that there's not an ample amount of cops that mistreat black people. I'm not saying that black people don't get mistreated more than. I don't agree with Trump. What I'm saying is I have not personally seen a video where somebody was complying 100%, not talking shit, not escalating, and they just got their ass kicked. I haven't. If there are videos out there like that and you've seen it or it happened to your boy, that's one thing. I mean, there's a ton of videos out there featuring bad cops. I have never seen that where a cop was
Let
just.
me ask you this.
Go ahead.
Listen to the list, and I hear everything you're saying. But I'm also I want to challenge you to think about the box that you're painting.
No, I'm admitting that the black community gets the short end of the stick. I'm admitting that if you talk shit, you're more likely to have a bad outcome as a black person than anybody. I'm admitting all that. I'm just simply saying if you are compliant and you're not talking shit and you're not escalating the situation, even as a black person, you're likely to go home safely to your family.
And again, you here's what I'm going to say. We have to define safe. If we're talking about alive versus unalive, that's one thing, Tim. But
I'm talking about even getting punched in the face. I'm talking about even what happened to this guy. This guy went home.
Getting punched in the face, asking you stereotypical questions like, are there drugs smugs in the car?
No.
Just leading questions. That shit happens all the fucking time.
Yeah.
But nobody ever considers the ramifications or the everlasting impact of being racially profiled. Right?
I'm not disagreeing with it. I'm just simply saying, and when it comes to going home to your family, you can't let words get in your head. You know you're dealing with an asshole. You know you're dealing with what might potentially be a racist. As long as he's saying shit you don't like, look. Yes, no, one word answers. You're not refusing to comply. You're not talking shit. None of that. He says, get out the car, you get out the car. I'm saying you're likely not to get beat up.
But, and again, I'm going to say, I'll concede that you're saying likely. I'm not going to argue that part. But let me ask you this. You got racially profiled, 3 times?
Yeah, at least that I know of, yeah.
Okay, at least that you know of. And you and I have never had this conversation. For those moments shaped the way you looked about police immunity, didn't it?
I never thought. I don't even think the priest should have immunity. I don't think no human being should have immunity.
But when Trump mentioned that shit, that was a non-starter for you, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Why? Because of your history. You goddamn right. But it's a history that
my history. I don't like the profiling, but I'm not going to say it's solely because of my history, because I don't care even if you're talking about the U.S. military, let's say the military over in Iraq or Fallujah, I don't think anybody should have immunity. I don't think anybody that has power over other people should have immunity from accountability. Nobody.
When any party is being done unjustly, it just escalates and amplifies. And then when we have a shitbag in the office like we do, who perpetuates the shit, he never de-escalates anything when it comes to us.
No.
Right? He never de-escalates shit when it comes to us. We have to justify breathing. We have to justify taking a knee. We have to justify protesting silently. We have to justify our existence. And we tell our kids to make it home. And I asked you at the beginning of this, how many other races have to have that conversation about complying to the degree that we're talking about just to come home safely?
It's a good point. That's a good point. I'm not arguing that point.
I don't even disagree with what you're saying, but people don't think about that. We got to have a conversation with our kids about what to do when they get pulled over to make it home by the very people that
despite the fact that we've all had to talk with our parents, there is no shortage of people like this dude who do go exactly to the opposite of what nobody teaches their kid as an African American to do what these people are doing, which is everything but compliance. We don't teach our kids to do what these folks that are, even Sandra Bland, somebody brought up Sandra Bland. You don't teach your kids to act like that.
No, and again, Tim, at the end of the day, you're right, but at the end of the day, when you get pulled over, and this is another thing, if you're black and you get a car behind you and them sirens come off, everything changes. Your heart rate changes, your ability to... Tim, did I say something wrong?
No, the point I'm trying to make is you are 100% correct. The African American community has that talk with their kids about how to deal with cops. The people that are having bad outcomes are the ones who didn't listen to their parents. The overwhelming majority of the people that are having bad outcomes with the cops are doing exactly the opposite of what our parents told us not to do.
That's not true. That's not true. And I'm going to look.
Give me some examples.
Yeah, next time I come on, I'm gonna ask that because I wasn't prepared for the stats in front of me. But you know me, Tim. I'm gonna do my.
Let me say it this way. Anytime you hear BLM or somebody say their name, the Breonna Taylors, all of them folks that they're saying, all of them did the exact opposite of what our parents told us to do. Almost all of them. Tamir Rice, you name it. None of them did what our parents said do.
Did any of them have weapons? Did any of them?
That ain't what, our parents told us to do something that has to do with having a weapon or not. 10 and 2, yes sir, no sir.
I understand.
None of them did that.
And again, I'm going to go back and do my research. But at the end of the day, the message is this. We have to work 10 times as hard at guiding our children on something that we shouldn't have to do. That's just the bottom line. We shouldn't have to do anything more than anybody else has to do to make it home safe when they encounter a police officer. Not a fucking thing. And here's the thing. In our society today, and there's a lot of this shit falls at the feet of Donald Trump and his followers and his administrations. They've been selling this shit forever. Whether you believe Rittenhouse was right or wrong, our president uplifts him and brings him to a game, and he uplifts this. That's the shit that I'm talking about, Tim. But he's never ever. He can't even say on the clip you played. He couldn't even say that it isn't even happening to us.
I'm not arguing with that. I'm not arguing with that.
So the people, so the sheriff down in Florida that made those statements, and these officers, they feel emboldened, Tim. They feel emboldened because they don't feel like, where's the repercussions? What's the repercussion?
I hear all that, but I got to move it on, but I'm just going to close it by saying this. Listen to your mother. I'm just simply saying, I'm not saying the cops are in a good light, but I am saying that advice your parents gave you, a lot more people would still be alive and at home today if they had to simply listen to their mother. We've all had that talk. Most of these folks that lost their lives from Rodney King on up did not follow what they were told from their parents. Last word on you.
And what I'm going to say is, and I'm going to say this before I go. And the more we espouse that position publicly, there's white people listening right now thinking. Exactly, Tim. If they just fucking listen, so what it does, it ignites some sort of demonization or criminalization of us, because what you said is not what the fuck they heard. What they heard was, if you just follow the law, as if somehow we've broken the law, so we get, because every time these cases come up, we always get asked, well, they had to do something. So this is why words matter. This is why when you say what you say, Tim, people take.
But you and I are tackling it. You and I are tackling this from a different aspect. I'm not tackling this from the fact that the cops mistreat everyone. I'm tackling it from what does it take to get your ass home safely. You're talking about all the other stuff that bad. Look, I agree. There's plenty of bad cops. I agree. African Americans get the short end of the stick. That's not what I'm arguing. I'm arguing how do you get your ass home, and the people that didn't make it home didn't listen to the advice of their own parents. That's the point I'm making.
And that last point you're making, we need to make sure we can substantiate that, because the people that are listening will then say all of those cases were justified.
The people that are listening don't give a damn about you no matter what. Mike, I gotta move it on, man.
That's fair.
Right, you trying to please the enemy at that point. Looking in the comments though, that's what I'm talking about. It's the language. Yeah. Look, we can't all go around saying we've all had this talk that nobody else had, and then everybody you see that is losing their lives or getting beat up by cops are people who didn't follow the talk. It almost makes it look like we're not having to talk with our kids. Don't believe me? Don't agree with me? Show me videos of people who did exactly what our parents told us to do when encountering police, and they still had a bad outcome. Somebody that's sitting in the car with their hands on 10 and 2, that's following all the instructions of the cop, and he just punched him in the face. I haven't seen any videos like that. I readily admit, if you're an African American and you're resisting police, or you're treating police differently, or even talking shit to police, which you legally can do, you have a First Amendment right to talk shit. I agree, under those circumstances, you are likely to get treated worse than your white counterpart. But I'm talking about African Americans who had to talk with their parents, who was adhering to what advice they were given. I don't see anybody under those circumstances that are getting beat up by cops. I mean, there's a lot of videos of cops out there doing people wrong. I don't see any of that. Was shot because he told them he had we talked about Philando Castile. That's about the only case of somebody where he appears to have been clearly following police instructions, told the cops he had a firearm, and he ended up getting shot a bunch of times by a cop who claimed he was reaching, which I will say, that's one of the main things, that's probably one of my biggest fears I've ever had, because I am a CCW kind of guy myself. That's probably the biggest fear I have, is telling the cop that I'm armed. And I know some states, as somebody who used to travel all over the country, I don't travel as much as I used to, but there are some states that require by law that if you're carrying a firearm, you have to tell them. Some states don't require you, but some states do. And that has always been my biggest fear, is telling a member of law enforcement that I'm armed. Because at that point, it don't matter what you fucking do. If that cop has the mindset that you're a bad guy, you can fucking sneeze and be about to cover your face. Any movement. In fact, we're talking about racial stuff. Let me make something clear. One of the worst cases I saw of a compliant individual, and I'm assuming some of you folks may have seen this. I don't have the name of the individual or anything at all, but I'm going to describe the case to you, and I'm assuming a lot of you saw this. And the cop got off on this. It featured a white man that was in a hotel lobby. Someone had called law enforcement suggesting that the guy had a gun. I think he had a BB gun or something anyway. But when the police got there, he didn't have anything in his hands. The police had him get down on his knees in the middle of the hotel hallway. The police is aiming an AR at him from behind cover. And the police proceeds to make this guy play a game of Simon Says. Get on your knees, cross your feet, lean forward, cross slowly, and the guy, he had to back up on his knees with his hands behind his back or something like that. And I think the guy's pants were about to fall or something. And he had already told the guy, if you reach for your pants, I'm going to shoot you dead or something like that. And he ended up taking this guy's life. And the guy was, the whole time, He was making this guy play what looked like a game of Simon Says. Daniel Shaver, somebody says in the comments. Daniel Shaver was. Some of you folks have seen this. It's awful the way the police did this guy. Awful. I mean, this guy was following every instruction given to him by law enforcement, and he was literally crying. He was literally sobbing, saying, "Please don't shoot me." And the cop, as opposed to just having the guy lay flat on the ground, put his hands behind his back or on his head or whatever, and walk up and handcuff him, the cop just kept telling him, "Do this now, cross your legs, crawl this way." And he made one misstep on one of those instructions, and he put several rounds of that AR in the guy and killed him. And they let that guy off. They let that guy off for that. That was a white-on-white incident, and that's on video, by the way. That actually is on video. Very disturbing video to watch. Very disturbing video to watch. So I don't know what to say, but it does happen on the other end, and I don't know why the white community didn't get anywhere near, because we would have went ape shit on some shit like that. It's bad. If you've ever seen that, it's real bad. And the cop has, some kind of FAFO language on the side of his AR. He just looked like some dude who was looking for, somebody to finally use a weapon on. I mean, he, got his brand new Oakleys on, all that. I mean, he just looked like somebody who was looking for that. And he took the dude out. It's a very disturbing video. The white community spoke out, but yeah, we would have went ape shit on something like that because it was clearly unjustified. And once again, a jury let the cop off on that. Let him get away with that. So I'm not agreeing with Trump, but I am going to say there are cases. That's a case of somebody who was 100% compliant and lost his life. Lost his life. Looking at the comments, though, Tim, you get what you pay for. Hold your mayors and sheriffs accountable for training. I'll tell you, before I go to the next caller, to me, in addition to requiring law enforcement to have insurance, to me, the next best solution, you've seen all these folks on the right, not on the left, because the left is pro-union. Folks on the right who were talking about how bad unions are in the private sector, make it hard to fire a decent, make it hard to fire bad employees, and the unions get involved in politics. The right went gung-ho after unions, Trump included. They, just over the police unions, even though all of the shit they claim that the private sector unions do that they don't like, the police unions do it too. The police unions make it hard to hold bad cops accountable, hard to fire them and all that. They completely skipped over that. So I do believe that some of the solution probably lies in addressing the police unions, because police unions' job is to defend bad cops. It ain't to bring people to justice. The police unions help a lot of bad cops get off. And the right is okay with that police union shit. They don't like unions in the private sector, but they're 100% behind the police unions. How many damn phones you got? We got enough of them, Fat Milk. We got enough of them. Unions are worse in government. Yeah. I mean, the right does not like unions, but when it comes to the police union, they cool with them. I'm in the IBEW. My former union, big dog. I used to be in the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, and all of my co-workers are Trump supporters. Wow. I don't get it, but maybe they don't like, temp in bathrooms or something else, but I don't understand why union workers vote Republican. Republicans don't like unions. And without a union, your salary and benefits are not going to be as good. I do not understand why union workers vote Republican. Continuing on with the program. Twisted 7, I think it's, yeah, there we go. Twisted 7. Twisted, good evening or welcome to the program. Now, you heard what we were discussing. I'm going to give it so you came up for a reason. What brought you up?
Oh, Michael brought me up. That racist.
What did Michael say that would make you suggest he's racist?
He hates white people. I mean, that's pretty obvious.
I didn't hear that. What are you basing that on?
What? I'm basing on damn near every conversation he's had with you.
I haven't heard.
Okay, look at what you just said. What Trump said, right?
Mm-hmm.
He said about when they said addressing blacks being killed by police, and he said white people are being killed too. That means also, right?
Well, he didn't really, as Mike rightfully pointed out, I don't know if I agree with the also part. I'm agreeing with Mike on this. He kind of skipped over the question.
It's not really skipping over the question. He's saying it. If you're saying, if I say, hey, this is happening, you say, well, this is happening too, that means you're saying it's happening also. That's what that word means, right?
You don't
That's
see
English language. I'm not giving you a stretch or anything like that. Okay, Michael, you had your turn.
Hold on. You're addressing me. Let me play the clip one more time so I can verify if what you're saying. It's only 19 seconds. Let me hear this again.
Let's talk about George Floyd. You said George Floyd's death was a terrible thing.
Terrible.
Why are African Americans still dying at the hands of law enforcement in this country?
And so are white people. So are white people. What a terrible question to ask. So are white people. More white people, by the way.
Okay, I will concede.
He's not saying.
He's not.
He's not saying that they're not being that's not happening. He's just saying white people are being killed too.
What he is
in larger numbers.
What he is doing is essentially the same way a lot of folks on the right treat the phrase Black Lives Matter like it's only meaning blacks. Black Lives Matter does not mean that white lives don't matter. He's doing the same thing. Where you're right, he's not denying that blacks are killed. He's just saying that more are white. Black Lives Matter is not saying that white lives don't matter. It's saying that they don't seem to care about blacks. So it does work both ways.
But you're also saying, yes, people are being killed by police. It's not just black people.
Yeah.
Which is what that lady was suggesting with that question, which is why you're saying it's a terrible question. People are killed by police. But you guys make it sound like, how many people do you think were killed by police last year?
Rightfully or wrongfully? Rightfully. There people get killed by.
Doesn't matter how many people were. We're not talking
hundreds.
Numbers. How many?
Probably several hundred.
It's 1,100 people total through the whole country were killed by police. The way some of these guys talk, they're making it sound like it's 100,000. Okay, they're making it sound like every other second somebody's getting shot by the cops. So that's not happening.
I can tell you it is.
I'm not saying it's not I'm not saying it's not a problem. Don't get me wrong here. Okay, people should not be unjustly hurt or killed by the police. But it's not the issue that they're making it out to be.
Well, I can use your same argument and say, well, how many people were killed by illegal immigrants and one is too many. It's odd that the same arguments we make in favor of going at the illegal immigrants suddenly don't apply to the police because the illegal immigrants ain't killing many people either.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Did I say that?
But what I'm saying is you're supporting a guy whose very own arguments can be used back at him and you suddenly see it differently. Most of the arguments you're using to defend him could be aimed right back at him for some of his other statements.
Okay, well, here's the thing though. He's not saying, oh, well, don't do anything to those police. They, unjustly kill somebody. There's shootings that some are justified, obviously. Some have to be. And as far as what you were saying about complying with the cops, do you think that other people don't have that conversation with their children? I had that talk with my parents.
I don't think you have to talk with.
If you really want to get technical about it, if you go back, I don't know how many years ago it was, on Saturday Night Live, Chris Rock did a whole thing about that. Do you remember that?
Yeah, not to get your ass beat.
With the cops, so you won't get your ass beat.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Exactly.
We've all seen that.
This isn't a new thing. This has been happening for a long time. But it's not like.
Let me just flat out ask you. Hold on. Let me just flat out ask you this. Do you think in this country that black people are at a disadvantage when it comes to police interactions compared to everybody else?
Yes.
Okay. So there is a reason to have that talk a little bit more if you're a black parent than a white one then, right?
If you say so. I think that every parent should have that conversation with their children.
Put it this way. If you're acknowledging that black people are at a disadvantage a little bit more than other people when dealing with cops, then that's not a stupid question what he asked her. Trump, he would have to know the reason behind him asking. Okay, maybe she didn't perfectly word it, but you know what she's getting at. I mean, you know why they're complaining.
But she's making it sound like it doesn't happen to anybody but black people. When you say it by race like that.
How should she have asked? What should she have said to him that you think he would have agreed
She
with?
said, people, when she said about George Floyd, people are still being killed by police. What do you think about that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when you add the moniker, the race moniker to it, it changes the question.
Yeah,
but people are being killed by police, not just black people, white people too, Hispanics, Asians, and everything else.
But then
it's not just.
But then that makes Mike's statement about what he said. To me, it makes Mike hold more validity, because the point is, if you think more white people are being killed by police, or the police are treating white. Hold on. Hear me out though. Hear me out. If you think that what he said, if he thinks that more white people are being killed by police and things, as opposed to getting mad at her for a misstatement, what the hell are you doing about the fact that they're getting killed? You're just like Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter. You got more people that are more pissed off that blacks are saying Black Lives Matter instead of saying All Lives Matter than folks who are actually concerned about the fact that cops are killing people. Seems like that would be the biggest focus, that they're actually killing people.
But the question should have been, honestly, if you really want to get down to brass tacks, the question should have been people unjustly killed by the police, because some people are justly, and you damn well know it.
She
started not, and it never
twisted.
happened.
She literally started out by talking about George Floyd. Do you really need to hear the word unjust? You know George Floyd is not viewed as a justifiable killing.
I know that. But that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that should have been the question. Okay, if he didn't like the question, that's fine. He could have said it was a stupid question. He's well within his rights to say that.
I don't know. You said she should have said unjust. She starts the conversation out pointing to George Floyd. I think we already know the minute you mentioned George Floyd and police, you're addressing unjustified killings. I mean, if you open up with George Floyd, people know you're not talking about justified killings. I don't think you need to use the word.
Well, the story's still out on that one anyway. But that's beside the point.
What is out on it? The man is in prison. What do you mean the story's still out? What is it? The story's still out on the 2020 election too? The man is in prison.
What? Derek Chauvin?
Yes.
Because
he killed somebody.
Evidence that say look, there's still autopsy evidence to say otherwise. Okay, I'm not making it the justification. It's done. He's in jail. That's that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Let's go with that. Doesn't matter what the evidence says. Once you're convicted, I mean, you realize how many people are in jail that can say, I got evidence that says something else? Once you're in there, you're in there.
This asshole's calling me a racist again. And it really pisses me off. I had a couple of people message me after the last time we talked calling me racist.
Look, people call me
I ain't white.
It's an uncensored program. And there's nothing I can do. I can't do nothing. People said, have you heard Gangsta Grandma lately? People call me all kinds of shit.
No, and she shouldn't talk to you like that either. It ain't right. It's rude.
Well, you got the president.
The fact of the matter is, you were 100% correct when you said the cops pull you over. Don't do that other shit. Just comply. 99.9% of the time, nothing bad's gonna happen. See, somebody just sent me a message.
Well, I gotta push back, Twisted, and actually agree with Mike what he said. You opened the show by calling him a racist, did you not?
Because he is a racist.
Well, then he thinks you're one. This is what you invite.
He can think whatever he wants.
I'm just simply saying.
Any particular race, as far as you're bad, these guys are bad. Oh, he's white people.
I'm just simply saying you give back the energy.
He's white people. He says it all the time.
I'm just saying, Twisted, you give back the energy you give. This is the whole Trump derangement syndrome. But he can say, "Oh, look, if you're calling people names and insults, they are eventually going to come back at you. You started out by calling the men a racist.
He calls everybody else a damn racist. He calls everybody else a racist.
I'm just simply saying.
He's called me a racist constantly. I don't care.
Then why are we discussing
I just don't like the guy. He's an asshole.
Then let's move on with the show. Let's not even discuss it if you don't care.
That's fine.
Okay. All right.
But like you said, I think more white people. It's statistics right there in front of me. I'm looking at them across the board since 2017. As far as this goes back, this particular graph goes back. More white people than black people have been killed by police. They're not making an incorrect statement. It's not what I think. It's not what I feel. It's what I know. It's right there. Those are the statistics.
You know what's disheartening or that angers people about this? If I get beat up by the cops and I'm having a discussion on the fact that the cop beat my ass and they beat up people, they beat up black folks, and you show up talking about, well, they beat up white people. You don't sound like you're on my side. And you don't, when you do something like that, you don't sound like you're really concerned with the fact that the police beat people up. It just sounds like you're only here to counter me. If they're beating up as many or more white people than blacks, then we should be on the same damn side. You shouldn't be, your focus shouldn't be correcting my language to indicate you get, hold on, hang on. Your focus should not be on correcting my language to indicate that more whites get beat up by cops. Your focus should be joining me so that neither one of us get harmed by cops. You seem more focused with what's coming out of my mouth than the cops beating our asses. That's what pisses people off.
Okay, but what makes you think I'm not on your side?
The fact that you're complaining more about me saying blacks get beat up by cops than you actually protesting against cops.
Because you said, if you think, and I was just correcting you, saying, oh, that's not what I think, it's what I know. Those are the statistics. He was saying he didn't believe it. It doesn't happen. Just like the other thing the other day with the guardsman. And I did post that video, by the way. I sent it to you.
I haven't checked yet. Go ahead, keep going.
Okay. I've been threatened by police. Okay. I've worked with the police. I used to be a hospital guard. I worked with cops, and I can tell you right now, some of them were really nice guys, and other ones were complete jackasses. And I don't think they should have been cops.
Well, I'm just going to say that if all I hear from you or anybody in regards to this matter is I hear more from white people saying they don't like the way I'm phrasing it, making it sound like I'm the only one who gets beat up by cops, but they're not showing up at protests, they're not complaining about cops. You look like an enemy like that. If you getting your ass kicked in, what protests have you been to? Have you said anything to the, oh, you're only talking to me. What are you doing about the people that's actually beating your ass? That's what angers people.
Easy. It's called voting for the people that don't bring those people in.
Okay.
Going to a protest, do you think that actually changes anything? I mean, honestly.
Yeah.
I personally don't think that protests do a whole hell of a lot. All I think protests do, for the most part, at least in this day and age, okay, maybe in times past that was different, but in this day and age, when you get a bunch of people together for a protest, bad shit seems to happen.
And that's when, look, in regards to
that protest you want me to go to, I might get arrested just for being there because somebody incited the crowd to do violence or some other bad shit or throw rocks at the cops or something like that, which is what seems to happen these days.
You could always not show up.
I don't think protests are that great.
You could always choose not to show up and just continue getting your ass beat.
No, I just vote the way I need to get people in there.
No, because the people that were
what else am I supposed to do?
Show up to that fucking protest and put some heat on police.
But I don't think that protest is doing anything.
Those protests, I mean, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, the Black Lives Matter protests, when you guys are claiming they're burning down cities, Black Lives Matter has accomplished so fucking much. You guys talk about the waste, the money they received and how they, was corrupt with the money, or you say they're promoting Marxism or whatever. But the fact is, there are so many families that have gotten justice that would not have happened if Black Lives Matter didn't show up and start protesting and in some cases rioting. Them protests make a big difference. There's a lot of people who were given their badge and gun back or told, okay, cool, we'll accept your story, until Sharpton or BLM showed up, and all of a sudden there were a real investigation. Derek Chauvin, we talk about him for it. Derek Chauvin was 4 days. That town burned for 4 days before finally something. We better charge this dude. Otherwise our whole fucking city is going to burn down. They were not going to charge him. He was going to get away with that. BLM is the reason Derek Chauvin is in prison right now.
Hold on. Stop. What did you just say?
BLM.
They better charge him or this whole city's going to burn down. What does that sound like to you?
It sounds like desperation to get justice.
No. What is that?
Desperation to get justice. I'll repeat
Wait,
it.
hold on a second. If I go to your house and say, if you don't do this thing, I'm going to burn your house down, would you be like, oh, I better do that thing, or are you going to try to get me arrested?
Depends on what that thing. It depends on why It depends on why I showed up to your fucking house.
So context. So suddenly context matters.
It depends on why I showed up to your fucking house. That's it. Maybe I showed up. Hold on. Maybe I showed up to your house because you abused my daughter, and I'm like, your ass better turn yourself in, or I'm gonna light this bitch up. Depends on why I'm there. It depends on why I'm at your house. Maybe you deserve to go out in the blaze of glory. Depends on why I am there.
So vigilantism is now on the table.
Vigilante. We were founded.
So you should take the law into your own hands.
We were founded on vigilantism.
Okay, but you're talking now, this day and age, you're telling me that if somebody hurts my family, I should go after them personally. I shouldn't go through law enforcement, shouldn't do it, just circumvent the cop. So why do we have police?
Because sometimes they don't look out for everybody, Twisted. Sometimes you go to the police and they don't do shit for you.
So you're saying, then why do we have police?
Because
you get rid of them, right?
I'm not saying get rid of them. I think some people do.
Sounds like that's what you're saying.
Let me explain it to you.
They might not help you.
Then allow me to explain it to you. There are some people the police show up. Let me explain it to you, unless you want to fill in the blank yourself. There are some people the police are likely to help more than others. How many folks are interested in running over protesters because they don't believe the police do enough? Vigilantism is what we are founded on. Period.
So if you're on your way to the hospital and the protesters are blocking the road, and you have someone in the back seat that's, say, bleeding out, whatever, doesn't matter. You need to get to the emergency room right now, and you can't get through because the protesters are in front of you. What do?
I think George Floyd needed to go to the emergency room.
And I'm not asking you what George Floyd. I'm asking you, what do you do? If you're trying to get to the hospital, if you have somebody in the backseat of your car or in an ambulance, because this has happened, all right? This isn't a hypothetical. An ambulance trying to get to the hospital was blocked by protesters. What are you supposed to do?
Okay.
Should you run them over? Should you beep your horn? Should you say, get the hell out of my way, I'm trying to get to the hospital? And if they don't listen to you, then what?
The answer is simple. The answer is simple. In that exceptionally extreme case, you got to get to the hospital. If you got to run somebody over, you got to run somebody over. That is an exception. Most of the people that are suggesting they want to run over protesters getting in their way do not feature some it's about. But in that case, you present, yeah.
But that ambulance thing has happened.
Yeah, but that out of every case of a protester blocking somebody, that ambulance thing has probably happened once.
Once? Is it one time too many?
We're talking about.
According to you, one time is too many, right?
We're talking about police, and you come back with one time is too many. Now you come around to that.
No, wait, because I'm using your words. This is your argument. You say when it comes to police, one time is too many. So when it comes to protesters blocking an end, which has happened, I have seen it. So these guys.
I've already given you my answer on that. I told you. I've given you my answer.
You should have just run a bunch of people.
I've given you my answer. If you got somebody that's in a life and death situation and somebody's blocking the vehicle, yeah, you got to run them over to save your life. I've already given you my answer on that. I just said that is an exceptionally extreme example that people have been blocked from traffic by BLM all over the country. I think other than that example you're giving, that's the only example where somebody was in an ambulance dealing with a life and death situation that needed to, every other case did not feature that.
Well, they blocked fire trucks.
You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. That is exceptionally rare that you're bringing up.
And these guys in the comments say, "Oh, I'm lying." I'm not lying. You can look it up yourself. They won't look it up because
I'm not saying
I'm right.
I'm not saying you're lying. What you're talking about is this getting dark outside, and I look up and it's a fucking eclipse. This doesn't happen very often. You're coming up with something that's incredibly rare, using it as a defense.
It happens. That's why I say some of these protests are bad these days. That's why I say I will not attend one.
Yeah, look, I'm just going to tell you, the only way you're ever going to achieve anything with a protest is for it to be a bad protest. If you protest what people refer to as the right way, people are going to ignore you. There is no peaceful protest that has ever accomplished shit. All of the protests that get things done are done the wrong way, because that's when people have to listen to you. If I want to do something this way and you don't want me to do it that way, but you protest peacefully, you've given me no incentive to listen to you. It'll never work that way.
To protest not peacefully. You have the right to a peaceful protest, but you don't have the right to not peacefully.
No, you don't. But that's the only way you're going to get something accomplished.
So you're saying that criminal action is okay as long as it moves your agenda.
If my agenda is to save lives, remember the ambulance protester you talked about running over? Same difference. Yeah.
And how many people died during those George Floyd protests?
Enough to get change. So I'm going to look. At the end of the day, I look at the protest as successful.
You're advocating for violence, okay, to alleviate violence. Does that make sense to you?
Why do you buy firearms? Violence against violence.
We need to murder people in order to stop people from getting murdered? What?
Isn't that the reason?
Not the people that did it. Wait, not the people that did it. Just innocent people. Those people need to go in order to get our point across.
I wish I could come up with a way where what you're saying did not end in these protesters having success. But these protests have been very successful, man. I get what you're saying, but at the end of the day, these people are better off having protested, even with the bad outcomes you're talking about, than not. I gotta move it on, though. Go ahead, last word.
BLM.
Huh?
I would look at the favorability of BLM now versus when it was then. And you can see it's gone down through the tubes.
You telling me there was a time when people favored BLM?
Yes.
When? Who?
During those protests.
Well, okay.
After you clean up all the ash and stuff, and those poor people that passed away and people that lost their homes and businesses, and not just white people. I'm talking black people.
Yeah, you and I disagree on that. I don't think there's ever been a time in American history where people on the right favored BLM. They didn't like them from day one. They didn't like the hands up, don't shoot people. They didn't like the I can't breathe people. Even when LeBron James started talking, they told him to shut up and just dribble. If you're protesting for civil rights, I don't care how you do it, the right is not going to like you. There's not a civil rights leader in existence that currently exists today that the right favors. They don't like any of them. So you're not going to protest away in terms of the right. They don't like you.
Well, I can't speak to that completely.
All right. Well, I gotta move it on, but see if you can find some. See if you can find some names.
Well, here, let me leave you with a piece of knowledge here. Most of the people in here doing these debates are just protesters. They just work from home because they're not trying to change your mind. Okay, most of them are hunting for coins. Not me. I don't care about that. Yeah, they're paid protesters work from home. They're trying to change the minds of the people in the comments, okay? Which is what protesters do. They're trying to raise awareness, which is what protesters do. That's all they are.
It's just an opinion. Thank you, Twisted. Thank you for coming through. Moving on with the program. If you agree with him, you agree with him. If you don't, that's just his opinion. And most of the people in the comments are equivalent to protesters pursuing coins or whatever he said. I mean, that's his opinion. He's entitled to that. But I will say that, and some of my beloved MAGA had a difference of opinion, and some people agreed, some disagreed. But I do believe that the protests from BLM actually did gain shit. Now, I see folks in the comments, BLM is a scam and things like that. And there is some validity in terms of people who donated to BLM. The founders of BLM did use the money for personal purposes, corruption, whatever, to buy houses and mansions or whatever. The fact is, the whole BLM movement was never founded upon taking financial donations. The movement is drawing attention to corruption, racism, and police misconduct. And they've been very successful at that. And the founders of the BLM movement, the ones collecting money and fascism or Marxism or whatever the hell it is, they're not at the BLM gatherings. 99% of the BLM protests, they're not there. You don't discuss them. I've been to 2 BLM protests. There was nobody collecting money, and nobody even, I don't think anybody there even knew who founded BLM. They have nothing to do with 99.9% of the people that are in BLM marches and protests. They have nothing to do with that. The one I went to, the police chief said that they're going to end using chokeholds. And he took a knee with the audience, or took a knee with the protesters. So I do believe that they do accomplish stuff, because I can tell you about even George Zimmerman, who got off for taking Trayvon Martin's life. He would never even have went to court if it wasn't for BLM. If BLM did not go down there and threaten to riot, they had already gave him his gun back and sent him home. He came in there, I think it was like 2 hours. They heard his story, took his word for it, gave him his gun, and sent him home. Trayvon Martin deserved to die. And they were done with that. Same thing with Amar Diallo down there, where those 3 folks chased him down, claiming he went into somebody's house. Thanks to BLM, them folks are in jail for the rest of their life. Once again, they had wrapped that up. So the point I'm making is BLM has gotten a lot of people justice. You may not like BLM. You may not like what the protesters do, or you may not like the rioting or whatever. Fine, I get that. Nobody wants to see cities burning down and shit like that. But without those cities burning down, the stuff they're protesting is just going to continue. Ferguson, Missouri is another one where the guy claimed he was, hands up, don't shoot. It turned out to be a justifiable shooting. But because of BLM and the riots that pursued in that town, they went through the police department with a fine-tooth comb and got rid of all sorts of racist cops. All sorts of racist emails were being passed back and forth. They were giving folks discretionary fines they didn't have to give them, giving poor people fines for jaywalking and shit got all of that out of there. That's BLM did that. BLM did that. So the idea that BLM has not accomplished anything, I think is flat out false. There's a whole lot of people in prison, families that have gotten either justice or at least a settlement for loss of their loved one because BLM showed up. So I don't, and not to mention some policies, some departmental policies have changed because of BLM, like chokeholds, requiring body cams and stuff like that. A lot of that stuff is coming by way of BLM. It's in my opinion, despite the rioting and shit like that, there's a lot of successes that can be attributed to BLM. Now, unlike my last caller, I don't believe there was ever a time BLM was viewed favorably. He's suggesting that before the riots and things like that, people view BLM with. Now, I don't buy that. I don't think there's any way to protest civil rights and have people like you. If I don't want to give you civil rights, there's no proper way to ask for them. It's kind of like when Colin Kaepernick was taking a knee. People were telling you right, left. I don't mind what he's talking about, but you need to protest the right way. Don't take a knee during the football game. I came here to see sports. I didn't come here for politics. You were hearing people saying it. Fact is, if you're protesting the right way, people are just going to ignore you. I always use the abortion protesters as a perfect example of people that protested the right way. They didn't accomplish shit. They didn't end up getting anything until Trump got in there and just gave it to them. But their protests, look, people would see the abortion protesters. They were not blocking any traffic. They would stand peacefully on the sidewalk, reading the Bible or holding up pictures of what it looks like with an aborted embryo, and people just ignored them. They were there for years doing it. It was accomplishing nothing. They were there for years. So protesting the right way does not accomplish anything. It's the only way you're going to get it. You're going to get something to happen is to do it in a way that people cannot ignore it. Even Martin Luther King, who's known as, nowadays, he's known as a peaceful protester. But during his time, he was not protesting the right way either. You go into an all-white restaurant and do a sit-in with African Americans that people don't want to sit next to. I just come in here for lunch. I didn't come here to have you disturb my lunch hour. No, he wasn't protesting the right way either. So the only way you're going to get something to happen is you got to be up in your face where you don't have the option to ignore it. That's the only way it's going to happen. If you do it the right way, people are just going to ignore you. If Colin Kaepernick did not take a knee during the games and he just peacefully went back to his own neighborhood, so you would just ignore him. The people saying he's not protesting the right way are not going to watch or listen to his protest if he do it the way they say he should be. In other words, do it in a way that allows me to ignore you. Don't block traffic. Don't be in my face. Don't do it at my games. I want you to protest in a manner that allows me to ignore you. That's the right way. That's what they're asking you to do. Anyway, looking in the comments, though, most of the peaceful protests turn into a riot when the police start asking the protesters to disperse because of lawful assembly. Yeah, that can happen too, but I mean, simply put, the police often show up in militarized gear, and obviously the people there are, certainly if you're protesting the cops themselves, the protesters already got a chip on their shoulder towards police anyway. And then, of course, the police show up knowing that they got the tactical advantage. A lot of them show up being assholes. It don't take but one or two of them to act wrong, and boom, you got a full-scale problem on your hands. Many people were enraged when they hear the term Black Lives Matter. It offended them. Like I said, there's no right way to do this stuff. We can talk about BLM, hands up, don't shoot, I can't breathe, talk about LeBron James, talk about Colin Kaepernick. We can talk about Jesse Jackson in the 80s. The same people that do not like BLM didn't like any of them people. The same people that do not like BLM probably don't like any civil rights leader. You just pick the civil rights leader and find a reason to dislike that person. Every one of these people, it doesn't matter how you do it. If the fact is, I don't like what you're protesting. There's no right way to protest for something. Look, let's say women wanted to have the right to terminate pregnancies in the third trimester. If you don't agree with that, there is no way for that woman to protest the right way. Doesn't matter how she asked for it. You don't want her to have that right. These people, the folks that are saying this, they don't agree with the civil rights that the community is seeking. So it doesn't matter how they protest it. There is no right way to protest it. They don't agree with your cause, period. So it doesn't matter what you do. They're not going to work with you. They don't agree with your cause. Jesse Jackson says Jesse Jackson sell out his non-profit paying him hundreds of thousands. And that's the point I'm making. No, if the person does not like your cause, everybody from Martin Luther King up, you name a civil rights leader, I can tell you, the goal is to find something bad on that person to discredit them. Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, Martin Luther King, Ben Crump, you name it. It ain't, in reality, it's not that the person, or in Black Lives Matter case, the movement is corrupt. It's that the person that is telling you what they did wrong is simply looking for bad ways to discredit or dirty up the organization or the person because they don't like what they're protesting. Every single civil rights leader in history, people found something negative on them because I don't like what they're protesting for. They said the same thing about Martin Luther King with the women and all. I mean, they're going to find something on them. So, of course, you're going to find something on Jesse Jackson or Al Sharpton or Ben Crump or even, like I said, even LeBron James or Colin Kaepernick. Every one of them, because it's the fact that they're protesting civil rights, and a lot of people don't agree with what they're protesting for. So you find reasons to dirty them up to excuse your stance that they shouldn't have credibility. When in reality, it ain't got nothing to do with them. It's the movement of what they're protesting for that you don't like. Voting doesn't always matter. Ohio has voted to have abortion rights, but the GOP is still limited in fight. Yeah, they're going around it. Let me go back to the bots. I should be up to about 70,000. Y'all can make that happen. 70,000 in the likes. Tap the screen. Make it happen for your boy. Gen X. Fuck around and find out. Good evening. Gen X, I'm sure you heard a few things you disagree with. Good evening.
What's up, my brother?
What do I always say? Hanging around like Jesse Jackson at a Klan meeting. So,
hey, before I say anything, fix your collar, bro. I can't believe you had so many people up and nobody told you to fix your collar. The right side of your collar's down. There you go.
Okay. All right.
There you go. Look clean, my friend. There you go.
All right.
There you go. That was bugging the shit out of me.
Okay. I'll take the notion that I should look clean instead of some of these folks who call me a dirty motherfucker. So I like that. Thank you. So what am I getting wrong?
What bothered me is that all the people you had up, people that say they give a fuck about you, nobody pointed that out. Come on, man. Let our hosts look good, man. Everybody. Michael, who's a racist, Miss Mo Better, everybody else.
Why?
Yeah, I said it.
Why does everybody suggest that? Why does people suggest that Mike is a? What does Mike say to make him a racist?
I'm just giving him a hard time, brother. Go
Okay,
ahead.
all
Look
right,
out for me.
all right. Well, we're talking about what the hell was we talking about? We spun off into BLM. Oh, there is a police brutality case. I don't know if you've heard about this with this black man.
I saw.
Huh?
I saw.
Do you think he had that coming?
No. No, I don't. I agree with you that if you don't have, if you've got a suspended license or no license and you're driving, they've got the right to pull you out of the car. That's true. But that cop punched him through the broken glass.
Yeah.
And then when they got that young man out, there was 3 cops there.
Yeah.
They had his arm subdued and they punched him in the face again. And I don't think that's the important part. The important part is that when internal affairs reviewed it, they said that there was no criminal acts committed. Fuck that. I disagree with that. And there was. Assault is a criminal act.
Wow.
And when they punched that young man, that was a criminal act. Now, did he deserve to be pulled out of the car? Yeah, absolutely. Pull him out. He's unlicensed. He's not lost all his rights, but they need to get him out of that car. But when they physically assaulted him and punched him in his face, man, I wish I was a lawyer. I'd be making a whole lot of money.
My guess is, even though the police have ruled that the punching was justified, my guess is he might get a settlement. I don't know if it'll be much, but because they probably are going to pursue it. You know, you have a lower burden to win a civil case than you do a criminal case. But I agree with you. I don't see how anybody could watch that video and walk away thinking the police were justified in doing that. Now, he didn't die. He wasn't severely injured enough, so there's not likely to be any riots behind it. But
thank God that young man wasn't killed. Justify them punching him in his face.
Yeah, I don't
justify that.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, and I see in the comments, SGB says he was resisting. He was refusing to get out of the car. If you're refusing to get out of the car, they can drag you out of your damn car. But I don't see any reason to just start swinging at your face.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine, and I agree. If he refused to get out of the car, that's okay. But you know what? He had his hands up. He wasn't fucking. He said his window didn't work. Why didn't they say, well, then roll down your passenger window? There was 3 of them there. Yeah. 3 of them.
Give me a quick second, because I see some folks in the comments are wanting to see the video. I played it early in the program, but for some who haven't seen the video, I'll go ahead and put it on the screen. I think it's less than a minute.
Now, another perspective from a former prosecutor with more than 30 years of legal experience in Jacksonville. Our Sydney Deshawn is joining us now. And so, Sydney, shock, that's the word that this attorney says he felt while he was watching this video. Just shock. Tell us more.
Yeah, Jess, that's exactly right. He believes the incident a clear situation that was a case of police brutality during what should have been a simple civil traffic stop.
A traffic stop in Jacksonville is drawing national attention after cell phone and police body camera footage has come out. It shows Jacksonville sheriff's officers breaking 22-year-old William McNeil Jr.'s driver's side window and forcibly pulling him from his vehicle in February. Curtis Ballgetter, a former federal...
I mean, look, he was not complying with getting out of the car, but he's clearly just sitting there. Once they broke his window, I don't understand why the hand comes through and socks him in the face, as opposed to trying to open up the door and then drag him out, take him out of his seatbelt or whatever. But just the first point of contact is to punch the dude in the face. I mean, he clearly is not.
I'm going to be real honest. When I first saw it, I was like, yeah, whip that motherfucker's ass.
But when they broke the window and punched him in his face through the broken window, I was like, that's all right, well, whatever, okay. Yeah, get him a little bit compliant. But then they pulled him out of the vehicle
and beat him some more,
holding his arms and subduing him, and they punched him in the face again. That's excessive.
Yeah.
I don't care. And the bigger picture is this: the fact that IAD, the Internal Affairs Department, found no criminal liability. That's bullshit.
Yeah, that I don't get. Yeah, that I don't get for the life of me. But listen to, I played this earlier. This is an actual black man, bro. This is a brother. Listen to what he had to say on this, because he disagrees with both you and I.
This is why you shut the fuck up and comply. Stop acting entitled, thinking that you know more than the law. I think the punch in the face was slightly excessive, but no, I think they did a great job in getting his dumb ass out the car. Now, a lot of black people are outraged that he got treated like that by the police, but here's how it started.
And then he showed some more on the outside when they pulled up on him or whatever. But, I mean, clearly you see the video. There's no legitimate reason to punch him through a broken glass. But this black guy is saying that's why you shut the fuck up and comply. The black guy is saying that he deserved a beating.
Well, no, I actually agree with him that the punch in the face was, it was kind of slightly...
Kinda?
When they got him out of the car and they had his arms subdued and they punched him in the face again, that's brutality. That's excessive.
Yeah,
They shouldn't have done that.
I think it's excessive from the first punch. I mean, I'm looking at the video.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too, Tim. I won't disagree with you there because I don't have an argument for that. But I understand the initial adrenaline. Once they had him out and they had his arms subdued, hitting him again, thank God that young man's still alive.
Yeah.
Thank God that man's still alive.
And real quick in the comments, No Reply says a whole show about 6-month-old news. This actually just came out. This isn't 6-month-old news. The video of this was released. That's why it's all over the damn news channels. In fact, the video I'm playing you from a news channel is 20 hours old.
It happened in February.
Yeah, it happened in February, but the the police don't want to give you body cam. They often be talking about how it's under investigation, so we can't release the body cam and shit. Like, no, this is current news. This say
just released body cam too.
Huh?
And I saw the body cam vid, and you know what? It doesn't justify it. I get it. I get cops wanting to protect themselves. And again, the first punch through the glass, I don't think that's okay. But okay, we'll let that one go. But when you pull him out of the car and you have 3 cops restraining his arms and subduing him, to punch him in the face again, that's excessive. That's fucked up.
Now let me ask you this. I've asked this to all of my, I think just about every viewer, with the exception maybe Twisted, but all of my African American viewers, I asked this question. Do you think that if this guy had complied with the police 100%, they still would have beat him up?
No.
Yeah. I'm the only one. I'm the only one that agrees with you. All the black people I've talked to so far think he still would have got his ass kicked. I don't think they would have done it.
If he would have got pulled over and they just said what they said, and he put his hand up and said, "Look, my driver's window's broken. Let me open the door and get out and explain," I think this would have turned out a lot different.
Yeah.
But he said, get me a supervisor, do this, do that. He just increased the adrenaline. And man, when you get adrenaline, now this doesn't justify that first or second punch in the face, but he kind of earned his own ass whooping.
I don't think he earned it. I think that your actions can be responsible for something bad happening to you, but at the end of the day, it's still something bad happening to you. I don't think there's any justification what the cops did, but I do. Like, for instance, if you get pulled over by a cop, and while he's writing the ticket, you say something like, "You fucking pigs are always out here trying to take people's money." You're 100% legal. That is your First Amendment free speech right. You can 100% legally say that. But that might cause that cop to do something bad to you. You don't deserve what he's doing bad to you, but your actions is why he is doing it. I do believe that this guy's actions is why the cop broke the law, in my opinion, hitting him in the face. But I do believe without those actions, the cop would not have broken the law and hit him in the face.
And I would disagree with you again on this is why the cop broke the law the second time. Police should be held to a higher standard of accountability and conduct. You know what I mean? The first one, okay, that's questionable.
Dick out.
The second one, when his arms were being held, and they punched him in his face, dude, that's just fucked up. That's abuse.
Yeah. Well, and unfortunately, I agree with you that considering the police have powers and they get the the benefit of the doubt in court and shit like that, I do agree they should be held to a higher standard. But unfortunately, they're held to a lower standard. Like we were talking yesterday. I think I was talking to Jeremy about police shootings, and I was talking about how you've seen hundreds of self-defense uses of firearms from citizens. You never see a citizen light people up the way police do. Because a citizen is held to a higher account of accountability for every round that leaves their firearm than the police are. If you're in a self-defense gunfight as a citizen and you pop off a whole magazine and put in another one, and anybody is accidentally hurt or something like that, you're likely to be held accountable. Whereas a cop, they'll be like, "We understand he was defending his life." So they actually hold them to a lesser account than they do the general public.
I would agree with Mr. Walter in your chat. He's lucky the camera was rolling.
Oh yeah. So is George.
He's lucky.
So is.
And I will say this again. Thank God that young man didn't lose his life.
Yeah.
He's probably just a dumb kid that did something fucking stupid. Did he maybe deserve a little smack to the chops? Okay, I get that. But what they did was not okay.
Yeah.
In my book, that's not okay. And I'm hardcore MAGA, brother. You know who I am.
Yeah. And do you agree that George Floyd was done wrong too, though?
Yes and no.
Come on. We were doing so well.
I think that Derek Chauvin could have used a lot more training. He shouldn't have kept his knee on his neck that long. I believe subduing him, he should have done exactly what he did. But I think he went a little bit overboard, and a man lost his life that probably shouldn't have lost his life. The caveat to that is the guy was amped up on fentanyl and something else. I don't remember what else it was.
Let me simplify it. Let me simplify it. Do you believe that Derek Chauvin is responsible for George Floyd's death? In other words, had he not encountered Derek Chauvin, regardless of what was going on with his heart or his system, he would still be alive?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right. Then we're good. All right, Gen X. This was a good one. This was pretty easy. Nobody made any sandwiches. We didn't disagree. This was a good one.
All right, let me say this. Miss Mo Becker.
Oh, my God.
The people on YouTube that told you to make sandwiches, I'm not the only one. Make some sandwiches, baby girl. We love you.
Have a good night, Gen X. Good talk.
Have a good night.
All right. There's a little bit of, we gained some ground there. That was good. I see Mike Walter says one of his best. Right. That was a good one. Neither is holding a gun to a pregnant woman's stomach. Yeah. Christopher William, you're bringing up part of George Floyd's criminal history. Look, I'm okay with holding people accountable for their actions and bringing people to justice. I'm not okay with letting the cops exercise karma. I believe George Floyd served a prison sentence. I think what you're talking about goes back to 2004 or something like that. So if you've done something criminal, major felony, violent felony, you've went to prison, you've done your time, and now you're on the street, I don't believe the cops have a right to take your life and then bring up what you went back to prison for 15, 20 years ago. I don't buy that. What George Floyd did, holding a firearm to a pregnant woman or whatever you say, that's irrelevant. He was held accountable by the system. He didn't get away with that or anything. He was held accountable. He was sent to prison. He did his time. He paid his debt. That doesn't even belong in a conversation in regards to what Derek Chauvin is doing. That's just trying to, what they refer to as, dirty up a victim to somehow justify. Like when George Zimmerman took out Trayvon Martin. Now, Trayvon Martin didn't have a criminal record at all. So they started bringing up he was truant from school and he smoked marijuana, just desperately looking for anything to make him look bad, to somehow justify, well, maybe what George Zimmerman did to him was actually a benefit to the world. Just find anything you can on the guy. That's what's happening with George Floyd. What is her name? Candace Owens did a video on that, where she spent like 10 seconds saying, yeah, what Derek Chauvin did was wrong. And then the whole video is all about George Floyd's prior criminal history. It's nothing to do with that. It's nothing to do with his. This is about a guy who allegedly was passing around a fake 20 and the shit got out of hand. His criminal history prior to that has nothing to do with this event, other than an effort to dirty the guy up. Why Obama said little boys, I haven't heard that. You brought that up the other day, don't just be another brick in the wall. I haven't heard Obama suggesting that little boys need to have somebody gay in there. I don't know anything. I don't know enough about it to bring it up. Carrying a concealed joint. Oh my gosh. Anyway, congrats, Ashley Babbitt is 5 years sober as well. That's mean. That's mean, Kevin. Says, congratulations, Ashley Babbitt as of today is 5 years sober. That is mean. That's a hell of a counter for George Floyd. Well, he didn't learn his lesson, did he? Fentanyl and other substance from autopsy, and he was out trying to pass counterfeit. Still irrelevant, Draco. Still irrelevant. None of that got anything to do with what Derek Chauvin did. Enlarged heart, fentanyl, people try to say he died of COVID, whatever the case may be. If you encounter a suspect that's overdosing on a narcotic or that is going through the extreme remnants of COVID, no officer is taught the way to address a fentanyl overdose victim or somebody dying of COVID is to just sit on the guy for 9 minutes. Even if George Floyd actually passed away due to fentanyl, Derek Chauvin still would have gotten in trouble. That is not the way to even deal with an overdose victim, is to just sit on them for 9 minutes. You still would get in trouble. Somebody in the street convulsing of heroin or something like that, or heroin over, and you just walk up and sit on them for 9 minutes. You still gonna get in trouble. What Derek Chauvin did was wrong no matter how you try to address George Floyd. Doesn't matter what George Floyd was on, dying of, dealing with. Derek Chauvin's actions was wrong under every circumstance. You're not trained to do what he did under any circumstance. So there is no defense for Derek Chauvin whatsoever. Tim, the videos are all out there. You saw them the same as we did. I saw the folks testify that none of them were trained to sit on a person and not move for 9 minutes. I saw all the fellow officers in his department say that there is no part of our training that says you sit on a person and not move for this long period of time. Nobody. That's enough. Doesn't matter. Anything else is irrelevant. What he did is something that put this guy in a desperate state. He ultimately passed away, and his department up to it. I think the chief of that department in Minneapolis also testified. We don't train officers to do this shit. He was wrong when he did it. Up to and including the paramedics had to show up and tell him, we want to check on him because you get off him. He was still on the dude when the paramedics arrived. At some point, you have a duty to check on the guy that you have in custody. Derek Chauvin failed to address medical concerns and punished George Floyd for complaining, but Zimmerman was justified. He was attacked. The George Zimmerman thing, it's hard to really speak on it because it ultimately came down to George Zimmerman's word against a dead Trayvon. But I don't buy George Floyd's word. I don't buy it at all. And it got nothing to do with it because of race or anything like that. I'm saying that George Floyd was on, Derek, I'm getting all these names mixed up. I'm saying that George Zimmerman was on the phone with 911 and he was already identifying Trayvon Martin as a bad guy. Didn't know him, had never seen him before, had never talked to him or anything. Just Trayvon Martin's mere presence in the neighborhood gave George Zimmerman the belief that he was in the neighborhood up to no good, breaking in people's property and stealing shit. Despite the advice of 911, George Zimmerman took off in the middle of the night with a firearm in pursuit of a guy he's already identified as a felon. And somehow during that pursuit, we're supposed to believe that Trayvon Martin, the guy who was doing absolutely nothing wrong, just turned and started trying to fight and beat the dude up. And he had to kill him. There's no way in hell I buy that story. There's no way in hell I buy that story. If I'm speculating, my belief is that George Zimmerman caught up to Trayvon Martin and started trying to do some kind of citizen's arrest or demanding he prove that he was innocent and not stealing shit, empty your pockets, or asking him where the hell you were from. He was detaining him. He was detaining him and preventing him from moving forward. And that may have led Trayvon Martin to become hostile and violent. But he approached Trayvon Martin. He had no right to do so whatsoever. Most likely he only did it because he had a gun, and it turned out bad. I don't buy the notion that you should be able to use a stand your ground of defense when you initiated the conflict. If he had just simply let Trayvon Martin pass, that guy would still be alive today. Nobody would have been victimized. Nothing was going to be stolen. That guy was simply walking through the neighborhood. He identified him as a bad guy and then just pursued him and started treating him like he had special police powers. And it turned out bad for Trayvon Martin. And we're going to treat George Zimmerman like he's somehow the victim and all of that. I don't buy it. I don't buy that. But he won his case in court, just like I don't buy O.J. Simpson, but he won his case in court. Sometimes bad guys get off. And I do believe George Zimmerman is a bad guy. And by the way, in addition to all of this shit I'm talking about in regards to George Zimmerman, he later took to eBay, posted a picture of the firearm. He was trying to sell the firearm he used to take Trayvon Martin's life. And I think he posted a picture of Trayvon Martin next to it to let folks know you're buying a gun that I used to kill this kid with to increase his sales. Even the way he handled it after the guy was dead was bad. That guy got off with murder, in my opinion. George Zimmerman absolutely got off with murder with that. You was right with your opinion on Trayvon Martin story. This was a murder by sometimes bad guys get away with shit, and I think that he's in a great area, Sanford, Florida. I mean, he's in an area where it's likely, more likely to happen. He'd have done that in Chicago somewhere, his ass would be in prison. If he had done that in a neighborhood that had a little bit more diversity and shit like that, he would have been in prison. So he got lucky. He went to the right area and did it and got off with it. But yeah, you already identified this guy on 911 audio tape. That you're making all these bad assumptions about this guy, and then you go chase off in the middle of the night after the guy with a gun in your hand, and he gets off on that. Yeah, that case was fucked up. Blacks lacking writing for what? Blacks lacking writing for illegals makes no sense. What does that even mean? Blacks lacking writing for illegals. I don't even know what you're trying to say with that. Other than you're throwing blacks in it. I don't even know what that means. That is like the opposite of Obama. He speaks so well. I don't know what you're trying to even say with that. Looking at, let me see, I didn't miss anything, did I? Technically, they called it a drug trafficking. It was, okay, that's something different. Anyone need a drug connect? Okay, maybe I've been on here too long for somebody to be saying some shit like that. We're not slinging products online. That's just outrageous. So let me go continue on with the show. Oh my God, somebody talking about a drug connect. Crazy shit. Okay, what am I?